to the Vice President to introduce our guests and kind of give us some background, and I think they're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, in fact, we'll do the pledge first, and then we'll get into why they're all here. So, gentlemen, come on up. All my scouts. Come on up, all the way.
There we go. Right here.
There you go. Right here. There we go. And go ahead. I pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's hear it from
Nice job, guys.
All right, so I had the pleasure of touring, and Mr. Drzwicki gave me a solid assist on that. We took the scouts today through the entire City Hall and some secret nooks and crannies that we can't speak of, but they got to see them, so that was very exciting. And we did some mock council meetings upstairs and down here, so that was a lot of fun as well. Mr. Donovic came in and played the role of a resident, so that was fun, which he is a resident, so that was very good. Sean, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you don't mind going to the podium and just kind of telling us about the troop here.
20 minutes you got.
All right. Hello, my name is Sean Kaczynski. I'm happy to welcome Troop 271, who is a part of St. Michael's School District, and we're just really happy to be here. Thank you so much to Martha Pashnik for giving us our tour and just providing us this opportunity. It was really, really great for us.
All right. Well, while we have Sean up there, I'm going to put him on the spot and embarrass him a little bit. Sean has been one of my students for the past 2 years, for 2 years at Churchill. First in Accelerated Algebra 2 and then AP Stats. So he's been a great student of mine. And he is also an Eagle Scout. And we have from City Council a commendation for you receiving your Eagle Scout Award. So we would like to, I'm not going to read it all and embarrass you, but we would like to award this to you. And I would love it if everyone would join me, because it's not easy to get your Eagle Scout. So if everyone would join me in a round of applause for Sean in getting that. Okay, Sean, that's a picture, so you got to turn around. And with that, take it away.
All right, great job, guys. Let's hear it one more time for our troops out here, guys. Nice work. All right, so with that, we did the Pledge of Allegiance, special recognition tributes. That was you guys. So now I'm going to jump right into it. Welcome to the 2018 regular meeting of the Livonia City Council. This is a voting meeting. Minutes of this meeting will be approved at the next regular meeting scheduled to be on June 16th, 2025. And I want to point out that we are missing clerk representation tonight. So our city attorney is going to pair as the clerk, and we appreciate you. With that, I also wanted to make a quick announcement. We are having some technical difficulties with the stream. So if everybody's here, you're seeing it live. I think we're having some issues with the I think it's going on YouTube, but I don't know if they're having issues with the cable, so I'm just giving the disclaimer. So with that, Mr. City Attorney / Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Morgan.
Here.
Councilmember Toy.
Here.
Councilmember Donovic.
Here.
Vice President Tashnik.
Here.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Here.
Councilmember Shield.
Here.
And President McCullough.
Here. We can safely show 7. I will now entertain a motion for the minutes from the regular meeting of the City Council that was held on May 19th, 2025. Council?
So moved. Support.
You got those, Carter?
I have Vice President Tashnik as the mover.
And then Councilman Shield as the supporte.
Thank you.
A little Francais on that. Anything from the audience on those minutes? Seeing none. City Attorney, Mr. City Attorney, will you please take the vote?
Absolutely. Vice President Tashnik.
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Shield.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
And President McCullough.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. I'm jumping right into audience communication. The council has set aside 30 minutes for items that are not presently on the agenda. If you'd like to speak, make your way to either podium. You have 3 minutes, name and address for the record, and the floor will be yours. Jackie gets to go first.
Hi, hello.
How are you?
Good. Jackie Graham, Melrose, or that's my old address, wow. 29552 Oakview Street.
You got a couple.
I just want to give a shout out to Ms. Laura Toy and Ms. Carrie Budzinski for the networking women's event. If you guys haven't gone, anyone in the audience, I highly recommend you attend. And also shout out to Ms. Martha and Ms. Linda for being there. It has definitely grown, and I just encourage any woman, especially in the city of Livonia, it's an incredible opportunity to network, to fellowship, and just to talk to people and get to know people that you never would have interacted with before. And they did an incredible job. It was at Cardinal Florist, so I just want to give a shout out. Great job.
Thank you, Jackie. I like that.
How's it going, guys? Nicholas Picard, 29891 Robert Drive, Livonia, Michigan, 48550. So I was at Green Mead and got a little inspired yesterday. That flea market was insane. It was the best flea market I've ever been to. It was fantastic. So a strong community doesn't just happen. It's built on stories, on places that matter, on people, and on people who care enough to fight for them. The Wilson Barn has stood for generations. It was here before all of us were born. And when people tried to tear it down, the community stepped up and saved it. That barn isn't just a history, it's a reminder of what we can do when we come together. Same with Green Mead. It's not just old buildings, it's Livonia's roots, it's tradition, it's something worth keeping, and I can't imagine a Livonia without the Wilson Barn and Green Mead. Some buildings are worth keeping around, ones that mean a lot to our citizens, ones that have culture. We grow by holding on to things that make us who we are. I want my daughters to grow up proud where they're from. I want them to have places in South Livonia that are built on community and culture. Let's honor that and let's protect that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. And just, I know everybody loves the clap, but just for the decorum, if we could, we always call jazz hands, or whatever we called it before, but listen, I love applause. It's always good, but that's our component.
We're giving jazz hands now?
I'll give you jazz hands all day long. The floor is yours.
Chris Muldoon, 28456 Tulipwood. I'm here on behalf of the Emerson Oaks Homeowners Association. The reason I'm here is because homeowners in this association are incredibly unhappy with the developers, Infinity Homes, Bellagio Homes, Reno and Rico Sove. They've left us basically high and dry. Our concrete work is not complete. Dead trees are in the common areas. We were promised a monument in our neighborhood, like, letting people know that this Emerson Oaks, we haven't gotten that. Not to mention, if you drive down West Chicago, you'll see that the entire boulevard is completely ripped up, and they've not done any landscaping there. The grass and the landscaping around our retention pond is just completely wrecked and messed up. It's all clay, and they just decided they haven't wanted to put any sort of topsoil down or seed. They keep saying that they are addressing it, but they're not. The grading is incomplete on the west side of the property behind one of our residents' homes. It's basically a pond back there. They've told us that, we've sent an engineer out and it's totally fine and the grade is fine. Well, clearly it's not, because we have a pond back there. The island, right? They landscaped the island a few weeks ago and they didn't put any pre-emergent or any landscape fabric down. Now it's completely riddled with weeds. And they're saying that it's our responsibility now to take care of that, which I think is just unacceptable. And there's a myriad of other things, right? And the residents are just really upset. This development, for most of you guys that have been here a while, has been going on for over 5 years, right? This neighborhood's been done for a year. Where's the developer, right? They say, well, it's the city's responsibility. We don't have a monument because it's the city's fault, right? Well, I haven't seen anybody in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I haven't seen them in front of the ZBA, right? Where are they at? Like I said, they've left us high and dry. So I know there's a lot of outstanding bond money. At this point, we're hoping that that bond money can be turned over to the HOA. It's probably a tall ask, right? Because at this point, we want to just do it ourselves. We figure we can do it better ourselves. So give us the bond money. Let us take care of it, right? I know that the Sauves have a project on 7 Mile going here soon, right? Maybe that project can be put on hold until the Emerson Oaks subdivision is complete, right? I think it's time that our neighborhood be completely made whole. And so, it's a $15 million development minimally. And that's a lot of money that a lot of us invested in this town. And we think that it's high time that the developer comes out and takes care of the things that need to be taken care of, instead of just ghosting us and saying it's the city's responsibility. So I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi.
How are you?
You probably aren't going to like it, but I'm going to,
I always like seeing you.
just in time, could you, there's only these pictures, so I have to share. The letter can be each one. I just didn't run enough. I'm sorry. Just for everybody, I have been,
If you could just name an address, just so anybody knows. You're
I'm
good.
sorry, and I should, that's
Listen,
my
you-
fault.
you know
That's
what?
my fault. I
You're
should
good.
remember,
And then
I've been up here.
We'll start the clock after.
Ellen Dorman, 17211 Mayfield, 48152, which is Livonia, Michigan. I've been here since 1942, which is a lot longer and older than probably most everybody here. But I love Livonia. Right now, I'm very disappointed. This is the fourth time in 8 weeks I have been to this council. You told me 2 weeks ago you would get back to me. 0. Okay? I've heard nothing, so I'm back. And I'm going to be back until something happens. I don't want lip service. I want something done. And that's all I've had. We were here, a bunch of us, I think it was in February. Lip service, I'm tired of it. I gave you an illustration to make it easier for you to visualize what I was talking about. You have the option to do something, and you've done nothing. I now have 3 adult care homes, 5,000 to 6,000 feet from my home. I'm not talking one end of the street to the other end of the street. I'm talking right here, and I showed you that. These are businesses. They get 6,000 to 8,000 per head per month. That has been verified. That's not from the top of my head. I think I mentioned that previously. Just wanted to let you know. And you want the city to grow. We've got wonderful families, young people. That's not going to happen if you keep letting these homes go in, because people can't buy it that have families. The homes take the space. Our integrity of the neighborhood is gone, and it does not help the growth of city of Livonia. And something needs to be done.
That's time, ma'am. Sorry.
Yeah. You can do something. The zoning,
Thank you.
the
Thank you,
zoning is against the law to what they're doing.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Frances Janis, council candidate, 17439 Sunset, Livonia, Michigan, 48152. I'm asking the council as a whole, I have already talked to one council person, were the funds that were given allegedly by our Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib supposed to be earmarked for a bathroom, or can it indeed be utilized for flooring in McNamara Towers? While I realize that the pending August millage passes, we will have ADA accessible buildings and bathrooms, what are the residents of this city supposed to do until such time? That will not be completed for 4 years or so, 3-4 years. And what if the millage does not pass? What are we supposed to do? I'm standing up for those who are not able to sit there and access this building safely, even if it makes some in this community uncomfortable. We need to utilize those funds for allowing all, the very least, to be able to use a bathroom while visiting our library. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
John Grisbick, 11301 Hubble, and I want to make it clear I'm not here to represent anything that I'm associated with organization-wise or within the city, just myself as a resident. As for a long time, I've always watched these council meetings, and I watch them if I'm not here physically. I've listened. It's good to see the level of engagement that is here. I appreciate the administration and each one of you for looking for funds to build the senior center, the new senior center, in other areas. Those are funds that need to be in our district, and I appreciate our representative, regardless of where you are in the political spectrum, that those dollars came here. As for the elephant in the room with the millage, I hope everybody votes. I'm not going to use this podium to be I know there's strong feelings on that issue, and I know there's crumbling infrastructure in the city. Of course there is. And I hope people will get to learn that. You've given a lot of opportunities to get people to learn about that, and I hope they do. And I hope they vote. And I hope they vote in that council election as well. I'm not going to use the podium to get involved in that sort of thing, but I hope no matter where you feel, to get involved, learn about it, vote, and then do it so again in November for the general council election. Again, I'm not representing Spree, but I am on the Spree Board of Directors. A lot of people know that. I talked to our executive director a while back about having a blood drive. That's really important to me. We are having one at Eddie Edgar Saturday, June 28th, 12 to 4. So Saturday, June 28th, noon to 4. I know some of you have social media and a variety of things. Maybe you can reach out and encourage citizens to donate blood. It's no big deal. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. John, it's great to see you. Good
Hi,
evening.
I'm Barbara Glover, Myrna Court, Livonia, Michigan. I just wanted to say that I don't support the millage. I would like to have seen the funds, the $150 million, used for more projects than just what it would be used for, such as the library in the south of Livonia, which I don't know if I can mention because I don't know if it's on the agenda tonight. I'm also concerned, as one of the previous people said, about the ADA bathrooms in the library. So if we do knock the current library down, the new library wouldn't be built for several years, and as well as the city hall, and there would still be no ADA bathrooms for people to use. So I think that this is a problem. We also don't know if the millage will pass. So then, in that case, again, we have no ADA bathrooms in two of our main public buildings that a lot of people use. And so this is a problem. Like the other person said, what is going to happen with those funds? I don't think that the representative that helped us get the money was trying to get it so that we could put new flooring in a private building. So this is just a concern that we need to be compliant with a law that's been on the United States books for over 30 years. It's called the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. I'm surprised that Livonia is not compliant with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Christopher Martin. One of the reasons that we have a number of people showing up as compared to years ago is we actually have free speech, and that's why people are attending these meetings, because they can actually speak without being shouted down, and that's exactly the way it was last time. Well, actually for a number of years. People brought up about the library, the bathroom over there, and let me show you just a little. This is who's in our law department, and one of them is Eric Goldstein, and he's the ADA coordinator, ironically. Okay, and not only does that bathroom doesn't help anyone who's in a wheelchair, but the elevator hasn't been working over there in quite some time. So it's either you, Council President, or I'll put a slip in for Lori, and then it'll go to Sarah possibly. But I'd like that to be on the agenda for the next meeting, that we get Eric Goldstein in here, because he's the director of that Americans with Disability Act. And we can ask him about what's his plan for the bathroom in the library, along with getting the elevator working so that people in a wheelchair can actually get around in that building. One other thing I want to talk about also is I did also attend the Greenmead Flea Market, okay? And I mentioned this 10 years ago, and it was nice to see one service dog there and not a bunch of little fluffy, that they wanted to bring the dog to interact with other people. So that was good to see. No recycling bins. I mentioned this more than 10 years ago. Oh, we like to recycle. Well, we don't in Livonia. No recycling bins, okay? And once again, collecting money. Collecting money, $3. There's no ticket. There's no way to say how many people were there for how much money was collected, okay? It opens up a lot of issues for fraud. It truly does. And now not just Greenmead, but the Spree last year, for the first time, we have now a CPA overlooking it, and that was from 1973 that the Spree was started. Finally got around to doing that. So anyway, that should have been taken care of years ago over at Greenmead as far as collecting money. One last thing over at Greenmead. You'll never see this except with police cars. Running, idling for hours. They wouldn't do that with their own car. And I'm not talking about the guy who's out directing traffic in Newburgh. I'm talking about other cars that are on the property. No need to have the air conditioning running when you're not in the car.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, Eileen McDonald, 36099 Brookview, Livonia, of course. I just want to ask the question in reference to the budget for 2025. And part of the budget, which says final budget on the city website, it says the city administration and council have made a commitment to determine how these critical capital needs will be addressed in future years, including moving forward with the city center project as laid out in Vision 21. This includes construction of a new senior wellness center, beginning of the construction of a new city hall, major upgrades to the civic center library, future construction of a new police station, and renovations to the fire stations and other facilities. To talk about Mr. Martin's comments about the elevator, and you folks this past fall put through and approved for this year's budget $1.1 million to fix the elevators. So I'm hoping whatever happens with this up and coming bond proposal, whichever way it happens, if you're 2 years out on opening a new library, you kind of need to make sure that these things are taken care of. So, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Council. My name is James Hooper, 6 Mile in Livonia. I know there has been a lot of discussion about the bond and now moving forward into August. I want to read just a couple lines here from what would hopefully be to many a very famous poem. But little mouse, you are not alone in providing foresight. Foresight may be vain. The best laid schemes of mice and men often go askew and leave us nothing but grief and pain for promised joy. Now, I didn't step up here to read Robert Burns' poetry to you, but to make a point. There is very energized on either side of this bond issue, either for or against. And I am calling on you, members of the City Council, especially the 3 that will be remaining after November. A clear and compelling case, I believe, has been made for our first responders, for the police and fire. And I believe that a contingency needs to be in place for them. So, City Council, I'm asking on you to kind of get together and think about it, and what is the contingency should this fail? Because very emergent needs have been raised about the police and the fire here in the city, And that is probably one of the biggest building blocks to Livonia being Livonia is great police and fire services. I'm asking you to consider what you will do August 6th should this fail. And I'm asking you to actually work on the language for this prior to that, to where you would have a separate police and fire millage that can be presented in November so that our first responders don't suffer because this debate has not been thoroughly vetted within the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you. I had a great time at Greenmead yesterday for the flea market. For those of you who don't know, it's going to be Saturday next year, kind of a question statement.
Oh, name and address. Oh,
I'm sorry, Lynn Mills, Plymouth Road. Anyway, as I'm walking around the flea market looking for treasures and looking up, I notice Greenmead's becoming a bit blighted, in disrepair, and I don't mean to bring up negative things. All of us, I can't turn around, I have to look at the president. We're here because we love Livonia, because we care. That's why we're here. We don't want to bring up negative things, but we care. We love the history, we love Livonia, and we're only bringing these things up because we care about the city. We don't want the millage to pass, obviously. See my shirt? Like my shirt? And so, please, I don't know what Greenmead falls under, but we don't want to see it go the way of the libraries, this beautiful building. And so, if we could address that somehow, the paint is coming off. One of the workers at Greenmead said it was embarrassing, one of the buildings, when they take the school children through. What's going on, Livonia? Please, can we just start taking care of our treasures, the libraries, and vote no? Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Mr. King.
Steve King, Coventry Gardens. Renovating municipal buildings versus demolition and new construction. Renovation consistently delivers 30 to 60% cost savings compared to demolition and new constructions. These savings stem from preserved building and shell foundation, avoided demolition fees, which can run $8 to $15 a square foot or more, and lower infrastructure costs. Renovating buildings with upgraded HVAC, lighting, insulation, and layout improvements can achieve operational cost savings on par with new builds, often with a faster payback period due to lower capital investment. Renovation offers massive carbon savings. New construction is responsible for over 50% more carbon emissions over a building's life cycle. Renovation preserves embodied carbon in concrete, brick, steel, and lumber, avoids millions of pounds of landfill waste, requires fewer raw materials and less transportation. Real sustainability, not optics. Even a green new building starts out with a major carbon deficit. It takes 20 to 30 years of ultra-efficient operations to offset the emissions from demolition and rebuilding. Renovation delivers environmental gains immediately. Modern design elements, open office layouts, ADA compliance, upgraded wiring, energy-efficient systems can all be integrated into older structures. Today's architectural and engineering solutions make it possible to transform older buildings into high-performance, future-ready civic hubs. Preserving and modernizing municipal buildings honors community history, builds civic pride, reinforces a sense of place. Contrast this with years of disruption from demolition, site preparation, and construction, often leaving citizens inconvenienced. Renovation, faster timelines. Projects can often be completed in a fraction of the time, delivering visible results quickly. Community support. Voters and residents are more likely to back preservation-focused projects over expensive, disruptive rebuilds. Reduced risks, fewer surprises with excavation and newer foundations, which often reveal costly underground problems. With the right planning and investment, renovation meets 21st century needs while preserving financial and environmental integrity. Renovation delivers more value per dollar spent while maintaining long-term cost efficiency. It is people first. It respects both the past, present, and future needs of a community. This proposal, this millage, is based on a false premise that it's cheaper to bulldoze existing structures than build new ones. This is why it has to be rejected. That is completely false. Another lie. There is no river under the police station. There's a river running under City Hall, not the police station. Yet you continue to repeat these lies again and again and again.
Thank you, sir. Any other audience? I appreciate you guys, truthfully. I appreciate that. Any other audience communications? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to council comments. I want to point out that we do have new data on items 18, 19, and 27. And I'm going to hand it over to Councilman Morgan because we do have some retirees. The floor is yours.
Yes, I'd just like to congratulate the retirees for April 2025, which Mark Salter, Sergeant in the Police Department after 25 years of service, is now retiring. Thank you for your service. And in May 2025, we have Shirley Blackburn, Violations Clerk 5, after 22 years of service. And Kathleen Sitterlet, Property Adjuster 2, after 38 years of service and 11 months with the city. I'd like to tell these people, which I don't know all of them, I do know Mark Salter, but I'd just like to say thank you for your service, and it was appreciated for all your time that you spent with the city and the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Morgan. Yeah, we could do that. I'm good with that. Vice President?
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I wanted to congratulate Livonia Save Our Youth. They had their annual 5K this past weekend. They do a great job regarding abuse education, prevention, and support. And it's just a fabulous organization. I've worked with Karen Bonanno when she sponsored SAD over at the high school I work at, and I know at the other high schools as well. Councilmember Budzinski and I both ran in it, and I'm just happy my chair is cushy today. I don't know about you. But and a lot of our council candidates were there as well. So still a little sore, but not too bad. We'll make it. Also, thank you to Laura for opening up Cardwell this weekend for us. It was a fun event, and I know Councilmember Budzinski did a lot of the organization, so thank you for that. And Councilmember Sheila and I have post-retirement careers, I think, in floral design now, so thank you for that. Anyway, to answer one of the residents brought up the spree is not managed by the city, by the way. It is an independent organization, just FYI. And kind of segueing into Finance and Budget, Finance and Budget Committee is next Monday, June 9th, upstairs on the second floor. This is our annual budget, and it starts really our budget process for the year. So if you want to kind of see the audit, that will be taking place next Monday, and it is open to the public. And then finally, I just wanted to take a moment to give a shout out to Councilman Donovic as well. He showed some leadership last week. He hosted his own town hall meeting last Wednesday concerning the millage. And I understand sometimes, addressing a challenging audience can be difficult, and he did a great job with that. I want to extend my gratitude also to all the residents that came out and attended, and so many that engaged in constructive dialogue. And I appreciate hearing from both sides of the issue, and that was really great. This is, in my view, the essence of governance, and I don't want to overshadow Mr. Donovic because I'm sure he has a few comments on that, but I just wanted to give him some acknowledgement for doing that event. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I can go to Councilman Donovic, then Councilman Morgan, then Councilwoman Toy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. The Boy Scouts are still with us. I for sure thought they would have made it for the door when they had the chance earlier. But I'd like to give a recognition to the Memorial Day ceremony over there at Veterans Memorial Park over at 5 in Farmington, right across the street from Memorial Day. It was very nice. A lot of people showed up. DPW did a phenomenal job. Parks Rec did a phenomenal job honoring our service members that have passed in the line of service. And then the 11th annual memorial service for our fallen police officers. That was the 22nd, May 22nd. A lot of people showed up to that. That honors all the fallen police officers that have passed away in the city of Livonia. Chief did a phenomenal job with his staff there, and it was nice to honor those folks. Question, if I may, and I've got a few remarks, but Mr. President, to the city attorney, I know this adult care facility item keeps being brought up by one of the residents. And for all the folks in the room, we've been talking about adult foster care homes. And it's been the council who's talked about this multiple times. The city council does not have jurisdiction over adult foster care homes. The state legislature allows these homes to operate. The city cannot circumvent that. We can't ban them. We can't block them. They're allowed to have homes, from my understanding. That's the way I've always understood it. And Mr. City Attorney, if you could take just a brief moment, if you could answer that, just address that for the public.
Absolutely. So the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, which is the statute that allows us to establish zoning ordinances locally, defines adult foster care facilities as residential uses. It also stipulates clearly that they have to receive residential treatment in our zoning ordinances, that they can't be distinguished from other residential uses, and that we can't ban them as such from residential areas. So adult foster care facilities are, for better or for worse, part of residential communities per state law. There's no way that the city can circumvent that or overcome that requirement.
Mr. President, a follow-up. So, for example, to our city attorney, if I were to offer a motion this evening to ban adult foster care homes, and let's just say, hypothetically speaking, the city council all voted unanimous and approved that, and our planning department, I drew up some language, and your office enacted that language, and we voted and approved it, what would happen?
We would be taken to court and lose quite quickly.
And the state attorney general would do that?
Either the state attorney general or the privately affected adult foster care homes could bring that suit.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So for the residents, again, the city council we can't circumvent the state law. There's federal, state, and local. So me personally, I don't believe the adult foster care home should be allowed to operate. So I agree with the resident on a lot of her sentiments, but at the same time, there's rules, there's laws, and the city council, local municipalities cannot just override state statute. And then also wanted to address, there was some discussion about the ADA bathrooms. Just a clarifying point, that money was not specifically earmarked for one purpose other than CDBG funds, and those dollars are allowed to be used for ADA accessibility. So there was discussion about putting those dollars in there. For the residents that maybe weren't here when this was originally being discussed, there were dollars that were discussed about investing into the library. Essentially, it's a makeshift closet. We're going to convert a closet in the library and somehow retrofit it to fit a wheelchair and make a little bit more ADA accessibility. But remember, there's still door openings into the bathroom. There's hallway widths, the door entering the library. So we may have technically opened up a closet and retrofit it to allow a wheelchair, but make no mistake about it, there would be numerous issues going into that bathroom. So you have to ask yourself, is that a good use of a lot of taxpayer dollars from the federal government? So the city council, we are going to have future committee meetings on that topic, but also the money, those dollars were reallocated over to the senior homes in Livonia that are owned by the city of Livonia, and they're changing all the old carpet for our seniors. They're converting that carpet, which is old ratty carpet, into luxury vinyl planking floor to make wheelchairs more accessible in there. And then I'd like to, Mr. President, I did hold the town hall. Thank you to the council vice president. I paid for the room myself, and I thought it was important as me as a council member, the chairman of Capital Outlay and Infrastructure, to talk about what the project is, the municipal facilities bond. I tried getting as many residents there as possible. I don't know, maybe 70 or so residents showed up. It was really good discussion. A lot of residents for, a lot of residents against, a lot of great questions, and I think it's my job as a city councilman who's spent 2 years on this project. It's very difficult to sum up these projects in one meeting. I know there's some residents here this evening, maybe for the first time you're hearing about this. And just a little bit of backstory, these meetings have been going on for more than 2 years. If you take it a step further, they've been going on since 2017 with Livonia Vision 21 that specifically calls out a lot of the decisions that have been made this summer. But other than that, we've had a lot of meetings, and it's very difficult to sum up hours and hours and hours and dozens of meetings into 2 or 3 minutes without boring your colleagues to death. So, but yeah, thank you. It was a good town hall. And if any residents have any questions, call me, text me, email, ask me here. I try to do my best to respond to people as much as possible. And then lastly, I will stop, Mr. President, the library open house for Livonia Built Municipal Facilities Bond Proposal. They're holding a library open house that is June 5th at the Robert and Janet Bennett Library, 6 p.m. till 7:30, 6 to 7:30, June 5th. It's a library open house. And then also, they're going to hold an open house for the fire station, June 10th, 6 to 7:30, June 10th, 6 to 7:30, and that's at Fire Station 1, right next door to City Hall. So hopefully residents come out and learn more about the projects and the site plans and the floor plans and all that great stuff. Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilman Morgan.
Yeah, I just wanted to address the Emerson Oaks, the gentleman who came up here and asked about the Emerson Oaks. I was wondering if Mr. Zelinza could maybe give us an update if you have one or if you have any information on that and what he had indicated, if there's any, what's the status of that?
I would defer to the building department on the monument sign or planning, but I do know there was a sidewalk that was marked last fall that needs to be replaced, along with some landscaping around the front, which I believe has not been completed, most likely due to the fact that the monument sign that we thought would be installed a while back has not been installed. But lighting's on board. I know they did some more repairs around the detention pond. They look good next to the parking lot. But there's still some stuff, as you, obviously, West Chicago just got completed from Harrison to Inkster, so now you have the new corridor after 3.5 years. You would hope that that area would be completed now with the front entrance to the Emerson Oaks development. So, but no monument yet. Hopefully that'll get done, and landscaping will be completed. Now it's time to do it this spring, and hopefully get the sidewalk completed shortly, and hopefully close out the project. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Toy, then Councilwoman Budzinski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am, what am I? I'm, let's see, the spring representative.
I'm a little nervous where you're going with that.
Council. Yeah, okay, no smart aleck commands. Anyhow, 24th to the 29th of June, and kids, mark that down, Scouts, because there is a rush. When that thing opens at 4 o'clock, everybody in Kimberly and all over Livonia are lined up to ride those rides, and just excited about Spree, which they should be. We're going to do a lot of new things this year, and that opens at 4 o'clock on the 24th. And guess what happens on the 29th? What do you guys know? On Sunday night, what happens? Fireworks. Very good. So you want to get there early for those fireworks so you get a good seat, right? You can see a lot here at City Hall. The trees don't really block it too much, and this has been going on forever. This is, I don't know what number spree we're even at this part. Is this 75 already?
No, it's the 1,500th.
1,500, got it.
That's fake news.
I'm not going to debate that one, let me tell you.
75th.
But I just wanted to share that with you because I want everybody to get ready to come to Spree because it's fabulous. We're celebrating the city's 75th birthday there as well. I also want to wish my little sweethearts, the twins, on June the 9th, budget night, is their 3rd birthday. And some of you have met the twins, especially Ruthie. She's the one that's a little outspoken. I think she'll be a politician. So at least I'm hoping. And I also want to say thank you to Jackie. Jackie was at our event and brought us some wonderful treats, and that was so kind of her. Thank you, Jackie, so much. And many of you candidates that came and others across Livonia, a lot of women. And my colleagues, those 3 women down there that are trying to learn flower designing desperately so they can come work with us on a holiday. And so I'm just super excited about all this. I am real sensitive to the ADA stuff. I'm concerned about City Hall being ADA. I'm concerned about the library. I'm concerned about everywhere in the city, and I know we're checking that out. So I'll be anxious to hear some of those answers as well. And I'm glad that Councilman Dominic had cleared up that state stuff. Please call your state rep, and I know you've tried. I'll try and help you with that again, and call your senator, because and even call the governor's office. You know, That's how things get done up there, believe it or not. I was up there, I know. And they'll respond to you usually. And we gotta get some clarity to that, because this body can only do so much. We're part-time, we do the best we can. We all, well, I don't anymore, but they all have full-time jobs. Well, some of us don't. But, I mean, I still run my business and such, but honestly, the day-to-day operation goes upstairs on the 4th floor, and they do the best job they possibly can for you. And if it doesn't happen, call them again, because everybody's busy. So please, just have a little patience, and we'll be happy to help out where we can. I don't mean to speak for all of us, but most of us do. My phone rings most weeks, and emails come through. It's a busy job, believe it or not. And those of you that'll get elected August, November, you'll find out what this is all about. And it's an easy job, but it's not an easy job. I've been in a long time, and I'll tell you, it's changed a lot, and for the good and for the bad in some ways. And so I commend all my colleagues of every day. The work they do for this city is unbelievable. And I know that Martha and Carrie and Rob and what's your name? Oh, Mr. President. He goes, and Linda does too. And I didn't mean to forget you, Scotty, but honestly, they all go to these events all the time. And so please, don't be overly critical about people, because they're doing the best they can. And if they don't, call us and we'll get on it. Okay? So enough of me. I will say thank you, and now we'll have a commercial break, right?
I appreciate
okay.
it.
Thank you.
I've been holding in, just saying, if it's the twins' birthday, you're taking them to the finance meeting, right?
Yeah, fine. They'll understand.
That sounds like a blast. Chuck E. Cheese finance meeting. Finance, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Councilwoman Budzinski.
I guess. So we've had a lot of updates on events that have happened recently, some mentioning of other events that are happening, even more events happening in Livonia. I'm partnering with Priority Waste to host Recycling 101 and to help people understand what can be recycled in our new recycle bins. I'm also going to be joined by Greenleaf Commission Chair Jim Barringhouse, who's going to share about a new app that the Greenleaf Commission is looking to start promote in the community. We're actually going to be at the library on Thursday, June 5th, this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. So you can double dip and learn about recycling and about the Livonia built proposals related to the library. And then next Friday, June 13th at 1 p.m., I'll have the same presentation again with Jim Barringhouse and Greenleaf Commission and Priority Waste at the Senior Center for those who are 55 and older. This weekend it's also Passport to Safety at Fire Station 1 from 11 to 2. That is a really great event, and I know our fire department works really hard to make it a lot of fun for families, and they put in a lot of time and effort. So hope everyone can make it out there. We have a coffee hour to talk about the budget. Martha, as the chair of the budget department, will be joining me, and that's on June 14th at 11 o'clock at the Civic Center Library. And lots of other events. The Ice Cream Social and Patriotic Pops at the Rec Center is on June 12th. June 13th is the city's 75th birthday party. And finally, on Saturday, June 14th, it's Tour de Kids at Madonna University. And Alpha USA is organizing that, so that should be a fun event as well. So always lots to do in Livonia.
Thank you. Anything else from council? All right. With that, I'm going to move on to reports from the mayor and other city officials. We do have two items. The first one is item A is an administrative response to Council Resolution 54-25. Do we have someone from the administration that would want to cover it? If not, I have the report. I'd be glad to. Is our governmental affairs director here? All right. Seeing not? All right. So one more time. Governmental affairs director? All right. Not here. All right. So a lot of people have thought, we've had a lot of, obviously, a talk about Noble. Noble Library has been something that has been closed since 2019. I'm not going to get into the whole overview because I think everybody knows. Council had a resolution to ask the administration to give us a report on the building condition. And with that, I'm going to read verbatim basically the memo we did receive on May 9th. In response to the council resolution, we are sharing the attached limited property condition assessment of the Noble building produced by NTH Consultants. Additionally, for convenience, we are providing a copy of the report provided 2 years ago by OHM outlining their opinion of the costs for renovations and recommendations for the repairs or new construction at the Noble site. The NTH report focuses on the structural integrity of the building. The OHM report is more comprehensive in its focus on rehabbing the building and its entire site to make it ready for occupancy. There is some overlap in the two reports. Both identify the needed repairs in the perimeter foundation drains outside of the footings, exterior grading and sidewalk replacement on the perimeter of the building, roof and flashing replacements, masonry wall repairs, replacement of ceilings, carpeting, and painting. However, only the OHM report included costs for the HVAC replacement, window replacement, mold remediation, electrical panel, and distribution replacement, parking lot and sidewalk removal and replacement, storm sewer and underground detention, site grading, landscaping, and build-out of electrical distribution for a new bathroom, current standards. In order to make these estimates comparable, we asked engineering to look at the renovations that were missing from the NTH report. They estimate that the cost of the HVAC and electrical would add $1.7 million to $2 million. And replacing the windows and associated items would add about $250,000 to the building renovation estimate, which was $787,670. Those estimates put the NTH proposal at about $3 million for building renovation. OHM's building renovation estimate was $2.835 million in 2023. At this point of perspective of the report, the Noble building was closed in 2019 due to the presence of mold. At that time, it was at the time it was open 3 days a week. The COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent shutdowns arrived a few months later, creating a new laser focus for the administration as we created Together Livonia Cares to provide testing, vaccines, and support in response to the deadly outbreak in our community. This became a significant priority over those next 2 years. We believe it's now time to take a fresh look at the Noble site. We appreciate the time and attention Council has placed in understanding the condition of the Noble building and look forward to working with Council to determine most appropriate use for the site moving forward. To that end, we recommend the following. 1, continued efforts to properly mothball the building, update the condition assessment of the building provided by OHM, stabilize the exterior, provide some kind of interior ventilation, secure the building from vandals, break-ins, and natural disasters, and provide regular surveillance and monitoring. 2, engage in a community-led strategic planning process to determine the future use of the Noble site. The time is right to advance the visioning process for this section on Plymouth Road, using this process and principles embodied in Livonia Vision 21. Estimated costs for both of these will be included in the 2025-26 budget for your review and approval. Sincerely, Mayor Brosnan. So that was kind of the memo. I'm not going to touch base on the report, but the report should be added as new information. You guys can kind of jump into. It's about 65 pages. Some of the items that I just want to touch base on. So this is the inside observations. These are kind of things that I just wanted to stress, and Council, you can feel free to jump in if there's anything pertinent. This was inside building observation. 1, a layer of water and sludge covering the basement floor, hindering the visual inspection. The exposed areas of concrete floor appear to be in good shape with no cracks identified. Item 2, the basement walls have mold and water damage. The water infiltration appears to be coming from both the external walls, from the top of the wall and ceiling from the main floor. That was one of the highlights. Building exterior observations, a depression area near the downspout discharge area. A water flow channel due to seepage was formed in the same area. There's no positive draining at this location. Item 5, downspout at the bottom section was missing. 10, animal hole near the northwest door of the building. I'm going to go to the flat roof. The drainage inlet was blocked with tree leaves. Holes on the flat roof was item 7. Again, there's multiple items I would like you guys to review. 2, the sludge accumulation around the drain inlet. And for anybody that knows, if it's a flat roof, you have roof sumps. And so proper maintenance is clearing out the leaves, and any kind of sludge would prevent that. On the shingled roof, there was loose pieces of shingle, damage to shingle, cracks in shingles, detachment of shingles. Drain inlet was clogged with tree leaves. So I could go on and on. I don't want to do it. If the colleagues want to talk about this in more detail, the building came back, and the last thing I wanted to touch base on, because we did have a cost estimate from NTH builders. The subtotal for all the items, now excluding some of the HVAC, I want to point that out, that's why I read it in the memo, came out to $787,000 for renovation. $787,000. Contingency was added at 30%. 30% contingency was added. Okay? $236,000. Engineering services, $40,000. Construction management services, $70,000, for a grand total of $1.13 million. Okay? So with that kind of concludes the report. And I was going to ask our city attorney, with this, obviously, would there be time to potentially make a motion if I were to pass the gavel right now, or is that not appropriate because I could wait till the end of the meeting? I just want to make sure I'm following the rules.
You can make a motion.
All right, I'm going to pass the gavel. May I have the floor, Madam Vice President?
You may, Mr. President.
All right, so here's my deal. I gave you kind of the report that we got from administration. Here's the deal. I've been fighting, and some of us have been fighting for this, a lot of people in here, since 2020. All right? So it's gone way back. My issue with this, and some of the items I highlighted, and I want everybody out there to do the same, my concerns are roof sludge, tree debris. These are common maintenance practices. And the city council back, I think it was maybe 6 to 7 months ago when we asked for that assessment report, we also asked that the building was maintained properly, and it has not. Listen, if you're missing a gutter on the side of your house, what do you think is going to happen? All right? Water damage from the roof. There's holes in the roof. They did a drone inspection. I would take a look at that report. Now, I must stress, if you look at those pictures, it looks like a nasty hazmat scene inside that building, I promise you. It's enough to scare anybody. But anybody that's been in construction knows that you can renovate a building if the bones are good, and the bones have been determined to be good. So with that, we've put in 5 years into this project and let this building rot. And I got to tell you, the reason that there was sludge in the basement was because there was 4 feet of water in it, and they had to pump it out to have the inspection done. Okay? The other side that I want to point out is when they bring up the HVAC and electrical, and I love our engineers, so I'm not trying to dog them, but that building was built with an air handler in the basement and boilers. Big, huge, truck-mounted, they're huge units, right? It was built in 1965. So there's new development. You fast forward to 2025, and we have what's called RTAs, rooftop units, that would not cost millions of dollars. They average anywhere from 20 to 30 grand, and they can do space heating and cooling that would easily fit a 12,000 square foot building. All right? So what I don't like is the spin. So the cost from the professionals said $780,000. We're going to add 30% contingency. 30. There's anybody that does building construction, listen, if you're going to add 30% contingency, that's healthy fluff. But normally in construction, you add about 10 to 15 at most. All right? We're talking about a building that is a rehab. And I must say, because I've said it 1,000 times, I'm a subject matter expert at this. If you go back to my report, my Facebook post from 2022, spot on. I said $2.2 million. The answers are right in front of you. Anybody else wants to debate it, I can have that table and say, debate me. Because this is something I do for a living, and this is the right cost. For that reason, now I'm going to offer a motion, see if we get support. I would like to allocate $30,000 from the Facility Reserve Fund to be earmarked right now in this budget to the Noble facility. Do I have support?
I'll support.
Council?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion by McCullough, support by Toy.
So, and thank you, Madam Vice President. So this I want everybody to watch, okay? The last time when I brought up the millage request, I did say straight up, hey, I want to add this. And I was told I want to spend. The millage right now, if I can give an analogy to make sense to people, is you're buying a house for $300,000. And the bank and everybody's asking you to take a loan out for $1.5 million. That's my issue. I think we do need a millage. I really do. I think we need to push it forward, but I think the messaging has been just atrocious. But I'm not going to jump into that. I'm going to look at Noble. So I added, because we could have done this with Noble, we could have added this right to the project. I'm asking for $30,000, 30 grand. And I want everybody out there to witness this. I'm hoping it passes, but I don't know. So right now, I'm going to open it up to council. They can kind of jump in on this, but that's my motion. Thank you.
Councilmember Toy.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair. If I may, is there somebody here from finance? Do we have enough money in that account? I gotta believe we do. Nobody's here from finance.
No, she's right there. She's thumbs up.
Oh, we do have enough money. Does thumbs up mean we got enough money, right? Okay. $2, no.
Hold on, we're going to have her come up to the podium.
Yeah, it's all right. Thanks, Deb. I didn't see you back there.
There are reserves within the capital project fund that would be available for $30,000.
So this is an outlandish kind of request or anything like that, is it? I mean, as far as 30 grand?
It would be within the confinement of what's available within that fund if council were to choose to spend it that way.
Okay, appreciate it so much. Thanks for your time. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. That was mainly my question. I know that Councilman has been working on it a long time. Anybody that works on a project a long time, I'll be happy to support you on most things, not some things, but most things. Okay, thanks.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Councilmember Shield.
So I just wanted to ask a couple questions. This report from NTH, is this what the $20,000 went towards that council approved?
If I may.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes?
And with that,
Okay,
so we
understand.
allocated it, but there was supposed to be monies in there, a $5,000 allotment to do minor building, basically putting perfume on a pig and Band-Aids. And I don't think that was ever allocated. I don't know how much this report was.
Yeah, I didn't see a bill in there, so
there
that's why I asked that question. Was this the 20,000?
It was a not to exceed 20,000 to, I could forward the council resolution, but.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I just asked that. And the company that was chosen to do this report, how was that company picked?
I believe NTH is one of our QBS providers.
Okay.
And engineering sought quotes from QBS providers to do this work.
Okay, great. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Donovic.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Madam Vice President.
Madam Vice President, sorry, it's a habit. I appreciate my colleague's position on this. I will not be in support of it. The building renovation estimates are not $787,000. You want to talk about spin? It says those estimates put the NTH proposed cost at about $3 million for building renovations. Says it right there. So at the end of the day, we're not hiring contractors off a Facebook Marketplace. We have to go through a QBS system. You have to go through a process, and they estimate that the cost would be at $3 million, not $787,000, the total project. With that being said, they also talk about in the other report, the supplemental report that they gave us, that those do not account for a number of items, very expensive items. I just replaced, I work in my real day job, similar to the president and his subject matter expertise. I work in real estate, and we just changed an HVAC unit for a 5,000 square foot building, and it was just plug and play, nice and simple, nothing easy, 10-ton HVAC unit that cost us $25,000, and I got a steal on that price. The library recently, we spent nearly $1 million to change one air handler unit. So at the end of the day, these do not cost a few $1,000s here and a few $1,000s there. That estimate was $3 million, and it didn't include a whole lot of things. And when you look at this report, the summary of findings, there are hundreds of items on here. So I can only imagine what that number will include, especially when you factor in all the things that it did not include, which are the most expensive things. So when I talk about, what is the future of that building, we heard some things earlier about the libraries needs a new elevator shaft, and this building needs this, and this building needs this, the list goes on. And when you look at this report, it talks explicitly about not including mold treatment. So that $3 million doesn't even include the mold remediation, which is why the building was closed down. It doesn't include the mechanical, doesn't include electrical, doesn't include control items. Replacement of furniture is also not included in the estimate. There are so many holes in this really good report that is 65 pages. The one report we got is 65 pages. The other report we got from OHM a few years back is another, I don't know how many pages. There's holes in both of these reports. We can't get a consistent message from any of the people. So what the administration did do is they are proposing to put money into the budget in 25 and 26. So that is what the council all expected until tonight. So for all the residents out there, we were expecting that the administration was going to do their homework, look at both of these reports, analyze both of these reports, and come back before the council with money in 2025 and 2026. So that's why I think I'm confused, and a few other members might be confused, because all of a sudden we're getting $30,000 requests. Where is that money going to? When the administration was poised to do something in 2025 and 2026. I'm not going to support $30,000, don't know what it's going to go to, don't know what it's going to cover. We don't even know if that will cover anything substantial. The council did approve up to $20,000. We gave the administration $20,000 to go get this report done, and they did that. What are we going to get for $30,000? We did have a committee meeting scheduled, but we had to postpone that because the administration is not ready to come before us. So the administration wants to come to a committee meeting in August, I believe it is, and they want to talk to us about what these expenditures will be. So there was a planned meeting that was going to happen that we're going to talk about what we're going to spend this money on. So no one here is from the administration to talk about what we spend $30,000 on. So I'm not going to be in supportive of it right now. We'll see at the committee meeting, if depending on what happens tonight at this committee meeting, what the administration is proposing. That was the plan all along, and now this has just kind of caught me off guard because we never talked about spending $30,000. This is the first time I've ever heard about it, so I will not be in support of spending $30,000 out of nowhere. We do have roughly $2.2 million in our capital improvement fund. That goes towards all sorts of emergencies and capital expenditures that may come up. So there's definitely money in that fund, but we just don't spend money willy-nilly on anything. We study it, what are we going to do with it, who are we going to hire, what are we going to do with $30,000. Maybe $30,000 can't do anything. Why not spend $50,000? But we can have a conversation about it and find out that, hey, if we actually spend $50,000, we'll actually achieve something of substance here. And just sending $30,000 just because out of nowhere without any conversation from council beforehand or from the administration, I just think is ill-sighted and is not going to actually achieve anything. Talk about putting lipstick on a pig out of nowhere, just throwing $30,000 as something we have no idea of what it's going to accomplish. I won't be supportive of that this evening. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. Mr. McCullough.
Thank you. Listen, I love debating with my colleague, and at the end of the day, we always, laugh at it and do stuff. But I got to tell you, I'm going to, it's kind of like the fact checking, right? So 787, when I brought up the OHM report, right, I brought up at every meeting that it wasn't stamped and sealed. It was an opinion, just a high-level opinion. And I don't know if you ever watched Tommy Boy, but you get the warranty in a box. Do you want that warranty on it? Is that going to make you feel better? Because at the end of the day, let me take numbers. So they gave us a report for $787,000. Sure, it doesn't include HVAC, electrical, windows, all that. So stay with me on this. I want to reference the OHM report because it is kind of misleading from what the memo from the administration brought up. Because back on April 5th, 2023, we did get an email from OHM that said we had three options. Option one is building/site demolition at $475,000. We had building renovation and site improvements at $5.5 million. Okay? I didn't get paid for this, okay? I just have that subject matter expertise. I went to Lawrence Tech. It's a great school. Second, the third one, new building, $7.3 million. Okay? So if we're at $787,000, okay, a little bit far from the 5 and the 7, the contingency I pointed out was 30%. I don't think that that's correct. Take it down to 10. Any industry standard will tell you that 10 to 15%, even sometimes 5, is normal for construction standards. I'm going with 10. That comes out to $78,767. So add that instead of the $236,000 that was in there as fluff. HVAC, $25,000. I'm talking rooftop units. We're not talking the buses. This is exactly what I just said in the original. We're talking rooftop units. Give them 6, which is going to be overkill, right? So what is that, a couple $100,000? All right, so I'm at $280,000. Okay, I'm not anywhere near 5 million, 3 million, nowhere close. Let's add electrical. 12,000 square feet if you got this building. Mold remediation, okay? Do you add it up, people? Listen, you can listen to any spin you want. The meat and potatoes is in this report. Do the math. I'm not lying. You know, we could sit up here and say millions of dollars. I've heard Councilman Donovic bring up millions, tens of millions of dollars on record. I'm not here to debate that. What I'd like this $30,000 to do, I'll be completely honest, because that committee meeting is currently scheduled for after the primary. Okay? It's after the primary. And I'm doing that. So what I'd like to see is, and for all of that fall of it, put your money where your mouth is. 30 grand is a small fee to renovate that building. And you know what? A long time ago, I made a resolution that when the building, because I was told at that time the building was going to be condemned, it was going to fall down. Well, that is not the case, right? I have scientific data and analytics that prove that it's not. So 30 grand, I brought up a long time ago that we could go with renderings. To get grants, you need renderings. You need to have packages ready for people to vote, to look at, right? Get the renderings, get some site plans, and go after the grants. Right now, our governmental affairs director is supposed to be getting grants. Okay? So right now, for $30,000, you know what this is? This is for the public to see. Let's call the bluff. That's the motion on there. All right? Let's see what happens.
Councilmember Budzinski.
It's no secret that I'm equally as passionate about Noble and have been advocating for action by the city on this building since 2020 as a library commissioner, and put it most recently into committee. We do have a committee meeting scheduled, and when I put it in committee, it was with the clear understanding that we're moving forward with, I think it's safe to say, preservation of the building. Obviously, it's not a library. What is it next? That is the question that we're going to be talking about on August 18th with the engineers, with the administration, with community organizations and residents. That is the kind of meeting that I am scheduling and I will hold. Those of you who attended my first economic development and strategic planning meeting know that I put in a lot of effort it was on blight and vacancy along Plymouth Road, to provide invitations to business and building owners along Plymouth Road, to invite community groups and residents to attend so that representatives from the PDRA, from the Planning Commission, from all the other stakeholders that have investment along the Plymouth Road corridor, because I want us to use our time well. I want us to be collaborative. I want to hear different and a variety of voices. That is the same kind of meeting I am working to organize for August 18th. And I know that feels like a long time away, but these things come up really quickly. And in order to be able to do it well, you do need some time to prepare for them. I appreciate my colleagues' passion on this, but I kind of also feel like the rendering component, I think right now we're dealing with frustrations from people to say, hey, we have renderings and we didn't get enough input in there. And that is after having gone through visioning processes in different ways. I think we still don't know what exactly will the Noble site be. It was decommissioned as a library, so it's not going to be that. I think we need to have a real, again, robust, collaborative conversations to see what do we want this building to be used for. I know different organizations have done that independently, but I think officially we also need to do that as well. So we are heading into budget season as well, just in terms of concerns of whether or not Noble would be provided for in the budget. I can promise you that I'll make sure that Noble is provided for in the budget. Our next budget meeting is on Monday, June 5th? 9th. Sorry, June 9th at 7 o'clock here in this building. My economic development and strategic planning meeting on Noble specifically is on August 18th at 7 o'clock. And, again, we are serious about this. This, is something that I am strongly committed to and will continue to work for.
Madam Vice President.
Mr. Donovic first, and then
Okay,
we'll come to
go
you,
ahead.
Councilmember Toy next.
You can wait. Thank you, Madam Vice President. Again, in those two studies, the study we have from OHM estimated $5 million, and the estimation we just got from MHT was $3 million. It's right there in the report. Just read the report. We don't get to pick and choose what we're going to fix. It's just right there. Just read the report. It says $3 million from their report. When we talk about this money, as Councilman Bazinski just said, the estimated costs for both of these items will be included in the 2025 and 2026 budget for review and approval from the City Council. So the City Council goes through a finance process, and we budget for next year's expenditures. So throwing $30,000, we don't even know what we can do with $30,000. We have no idea what we can do with $30,000. Maybe to get a rendering or something that one council member may or may not want might cost us $40,000, might cost us $100,000. But that's why we as a council go through a budget process. We deliberate things, we talk about things, we get reports from the administration, and we talk about what an individual item is going to cost. So some council members very well may want to put some money into Noble for further discussion. But doing it this way is a willy-nilly way. It's an uneducated, unexperienced way. That's why it's catching some of us on shock, because this came out of nowhere. We didn't have any conversation about it. We don't know what $30,000 can do. So I take this job very seriously. I don't just show up half-cocked just at a meeting all of a sudden throwing out random numbers. This is a very serious job. The job we do has direct impact on people's lives and the taxpayers. So I'm okay with talking at committee meetings and learning about what we can do from administration. No one's from the administration's here right now of what $30,000 can accomplish, what it cannot accomplish. But the estimated cost for both these items will be included in the 25-26 budgets. We have multiple finance meetings that we talk about these things. And maybe there is some money that we can spend in the future to further investigate Noble, and maybe there won't be, depending on the City Council. So, again, I won't be in support of a random $30,000 that just came out of nowhere. And I hope that we have some good, deliberate conversations for the 25-26 budget. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. Councilmember Toy.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. I guess my concern was when this has popped up is that $30,000, I've seen this council spend a lot more money than $30,000 on things and voted for things in regards to preventative kind of measures. And that's what I'm looking at. From what I hear, if we can spend $30,000, we can repair some of this so the erosion doesn't go any further. If it has been since 2020, it behooves us to at least take some type of action before some kid gets on that roof and falls into the lovely basement, possibly full of the stagnant water or whatever they call that water. So, I mean, it just behooves us. And if it's that important, then that meeting should be moved up from August 18th. No offense to my colleague, but it should be acted on pretty darn quick. If we have some results and we have some letters from the administration and all these wonderful people we rely on in our city. So, let's move on it. And that's why I'm willing to support the $30,000 at this point. It's kind of like, that old adage of you know what and get off the pot. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. Thank you, Madam Chair. I didn't mean to be disrespectful for any bathroom in Livonia.
I would be hesitant to have to censure you, Mr.
Yes, thank you very much.
Mr. Donovic.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Vice President. I agree with Councilman Toy that the committee meeting should be moved up. I don't know why we had it scheduled for today. I know the administration couldn't be here today. They told us that a week in advance. So then we scheduled it, and then we knew that the administration could not be there. So then we rescheduled it. Remind me which committee that is in.
Economic development.
It's in two committees.
I believe it's in Committee of the Whole and the Economic Development.
So the Committee of the Whole is chaired by the President of the City Council. Every president chairs the committee, capital outlay, every president chairs the Committee of the Whole. That's where the entire council can meet. And then Councilman Bazinski chairs a subcommittee. So the chair controls the schedule. So if the chair wants to schedule a Committee of the Whole meeting so we can discuss further things on Noble, we're at the whim of the chair. And I'd love to schedule a meeting this month or as fast as possible. I was excited for today's committee meeting that was supposed to happen, but the administration did tell us well in advance they couldn't make today. So why 2 weeks from now can't work or a month from now can't work is beyond me. I agree with you. It doesn't need to wait until August. I don't understand. We schedule committee meetings all the time. They're very fluid. They happen all the time. So and again, I'll just reiterate, I'm not going to just spend $30,000 out of nowhere. If we have a committee meeting, we discuss what we can spend at that with those $30,000. The administration come back to us and say, hey, actually it's going to cost us $34,000 for something. Then that we can have a substantive conversation there about what we can get with those dollars. Yeah, I'd love to see a committee meeting scheduled sooner rather than later. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Mm-hmm. Councilmember Toy.
Thank you. If to the maker of the motion, can I offer, if you don't mind, a substitute? So if we could schedule a committee of the whole real quick, and no, you don't want to do it?
I don't.
Okay. I'll respect my colleague.
You can do a substitute.
No, I don't want to do it if, I want to keep peace and tranquility in the city. So, we're good, Madam Chair.
Ms. Toy,
Sorry,
you're not
I
offering,
tried.
you're
No,
not
I'm
offering a
gonna
substitute?
I'm not
Okay.
going to offer.
All right. Councilmember.
Unless somebody else wants.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Yes. So again, my committee meeting was scheduled to talk about the strategic plan with the engineering firm. I wanted to prepare the meeting well to make sure that it was fruitful for all participants. The topic in my committee is about the strategic plan. The topic in the Committee of the Whole is about Noble and Sheldon Park. I believe it's the condition, which I do think that these are separate issues. The maintenance of the building, the preservation, we have given direction to the administration on preserving and protecting the building. My committee meeting is about strategy for the long term. How are we going to use the building moving forward? So that is, where that differential comes in. I don't think that they're connected, and in reference to the implication that the August 18th meeting means that nothing's going to be done to protect and preserve the building. That is not my expectation or understanding with the administration in any capacity. My meeting is about gathering as many people as we can to talk about what direction are we taking? What kind of renderings are we looking for? Are we looking to white box it out? Are we looking to build out what do we want to use it for? Do we want it for just city services? Do we want to look for public-private partnerships? So just to be clear about what the Economic Development and Strategic Planning Committee meeting goals and objectives are, and how that really differentiates from, mothballing, preserving the building, and where I think that, we can have continued discussion, maybe a different type of committee meeting. Again, personally, I feel like maybe that fits more into the item that's currently in the Committee of the Whole. And that's how I see them as different and how we can address that. Maybe we can't figure out that at this very moment, but obviously this is something we all talk and think about often. So that's just, I wanted to clarify my committee meeting and what its intent is.
Mr. Morgan. He's been waiting.
Yes, Madam Vice President. So this has been going on since I've been on council, a little over 3 years, and it's continuously talking about this situation. And the bottom line is unless the administration is going to do anything about this or present a plan, council can provide all this money and they still don't have to do anything. And that's pretty much exactly what's happened. 3 years ago, when this was first brought up, it was maybe a little bit longer than that, I asked the administration to provide some type of plan. And as of today, we have nothing. And now the president would like to allocate another $30,000 toward this building, which is no longer a library, and it's clearly dilapidated. It's time to take a stand and let the administration make a decision so we can either allocate the amount to get this either rehabbed or demolished. And so far, we have nothing. So at this point, I am not going to be in favor of allocating any more money to this building until we get some clear direction on which way we're going to go. Thank you.
Mr. Donovic.
Oh, he was first.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah, I did say Mr.
No, go
McCullough.
ahead.
No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
you're good.
All right,
Sorry.
so listen, I'm not trying to keep the spin going here, but Councilman Donovic brought up that NTH had an estimation of $3 million. That was the report. The NTH report says 1.1, okay? The report that I got from the memo states, and I'll read it for the second time, in order to make these estimates comparable, we asked our engineering team to look at the renovations that were missing from the NTH report. They estimate that the cost of HVAC, which is what I brought up, those rooftop units, right, 25 grand a piece, and electrical work, which everybody knows electrical, in a 12,000 square foot, as I said, do your research, would be anywhere from $1.7 to $2 million. Okay, if anybody wants to say that that's comparable, bring it on. That is crazy money. $2 million for a 12,000 square foot building. Would you pay that for your bathroom renovation? Someone came in and offered you $500,000, you're going to run. Listen, my problem is, and a lot of my colleagues brought it up, the administration isn't doing their jobs. All right? And this is our public forum. I've even taken it a step further to put the funds in our council general ledger, because that's what I do for a living. I'll do it. I can probably do it faster and cheaper than they would do it. The problem is we need to act, because 4 feet of water was in there, and we had a council resolution that the administration was supposed to be maintaining the building. Okay? If you look at this report, they're not maintaining the building. Okay? So $30,000. The administration is asking all of you to vote on a $150 million millage. And they haven't even done geotech in the spot that they want to put all those buildings. And I'm the bad guy right now because I want to put good money out there. And that $30,000, and that's why, Councilman Toy, I'm sorry, but listen, enough is enough. This isn't new. We've been talking about this to the end. And I'm actually putting a real plan forward. Put your money where your mouth is. And that's going to be my last. You're going to hear more spin and deterrence. Look up the reports, because I am not wrong on this. Thank you.
Mr. Donovic.
Madam Vice President, I'd like to say for the record, I don't appreciate when you keep on saying your colleagues are spinning things. Having a disagreement is a healthy thing. Having deliberation is a healthy thing. You continually tell us that we have spins because we disagree on something. I disagree with you. But I'm still going to respect you as a colleague. I ask you to do the same to me, please. Thank you. The report right here says those estimates put NHT proposed costs at $3 million. I have no problem having a discussion about what we're going to do with money. But we have a discussion about it. What are we going to do with $30,000? Nobody on council knew about this until now. The president can schedule a committee meeting and ask the administration to attend, and we can have a conversation about what we can spend with $30,000. Maybe it's $40,000. Maybe it's $50,000. It would be nice to have an actual conversation about what you can do with money. So I'm going to respect my colleagues, and some others want to act immature, but this is real life decisions here, and real things happen. These are tax dollars. I don't think there's any issue with having conversations about what you spend with tax dollars, whether it be 35 or 40, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm asking the president to host a committee meeting with the administration and find out what we can do with those dollars, whether it be 30 or some other figure, and we can go from there. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Madam Chair, I move to call the question.
1 second, I promised Mrs. Budzinski the floor, and then I will come
But
back.
it stops all debate.
Yeah,
Once you call the
We're
question.
done? Okay.
Yep.
All right. We do have to go to the audience still, though, right?
Yeah, we have to go to the audience still,
Yeah,
yep,
go to
before
the
the vote.
audience.
All right. If there's anyone from the audience that would like to speak on this matter, make your way to the podium, please.
It's 2 minutes.
2 minutes. You'll name and address 2 minutes, please, for the record.
How much time?
2 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to speak
Wait,
real
wait,
fast.
wait,
Hold
go
on.
ahead.
Let me just get my parliamentarian ready. Okay, we're good.
As was said, you want us to vote.
I'm sorry, name and address.
Jim
for the record.
Biga, Lancashire Road. You want us to vote on $150 million. You want us to trust an administration who doesn't do maintenance on buildings. You want us to trust on building a whole complex on land that isn't stable. To build the library 40 years ago, which none of you, except for maybe Laura, weren't here for, when she was up in Lansing, they had to truck a ton of earth underneath that library. How much earth are they going to have to put over here to put all the things you want to build? That's going to eat up a lot of that money. You guys are being sold a bill of goods, and you push through something to meet an administrative goal.
Sir, you do need to be speaking on the motion that's on the
I
floor.
am. You are being.
You're kind of going off on a tangent. I just.
But you are
reminding
not finishing anything that was being done. $30,000 to fix that building so it's not rotting anymore, and forcing this administration to do their job is what your job is to do. If the mayor isn't doing the job that she should be doing, then you should get rid of her.
We'll come over to this podium.
Okay. Laura Jonica, Munger Street. Few things I've got noted about the mayor. Did a document dump. I started printing it. I think I had 200 sheets and I had to stop. That's meant to confuse, clearly. To me, the mayor, the administration had no right to ignore this building for 6 years. That was neglect. She was trying to kill it. She did not have permission. End of story for that. All that material inside should have been removed. It isn't. There's still, everything is in there except books. Everything is sitting there. They could have taken out the drywall, all of the furniture, all of it. Could have done that. And we have at least 12 people that watch that building like hawks. They trim trees. They take out buckthorn trees. Do you know what a buckthorn tree is? We had 3 women there 3 days in a row this week. We took out 12 bags and took them to our homes because the city won't come and get it. I've asked. They won't come and get it. So us women have to do that. We have men watching it, men trimming trees growing right into the building. We have removed them. And you talk about rodents or whatever in the building, I know what they are because I've seen them. They're raccoons. And you know what I did? My husband and I came and put sandbags in those holes. 7 bags of sand. And I'm sorry, I'm upset. But this is ridiculous. And to think that this is being held so somebody can get their vote for $150 million, and we can't even have 30,000. This is, you fill in the blank for that.
Time. Thank you.
Hi, Cindy Fleming, Woodring. To Mr. Morgan, I would like to read a
Ma'am,
letter from the mayor.
you have to address
I'm
the
sorry,
chair.
through the chair.
Yeah.
Number 1, continue efforts to properly mothball the building. Update the condition assessment of the building proposed by OHM. Stabilize the exterior. Provide some kind of interior ventilation. Secure the building from vandals, break-ins, and natural disasters, and provide regular surveillance and monitoring. That was number 1. Number 2, engage in a community-led strategic planning process to determine the future use of the Noble site. The time is right to advance the visioning process for this section of Plymouth Road. Actually, President McCullough read this. This is the estimated cost for both of these items to be included in the 2025-2026 budget for your review and approval. Sincerely, Maureen Miller Brosnan. She told me after the library IQ study, I was one of 4 residents who stayed for the library IQ study. She knew I wanted Noble saved. She told me that she took and the city took care of Noble in the same manner that they take care of any city building. That was years ago. This is not okay. Postponing addressing this until August after the millage proposal is leveraging thousands of people who have gotten together over the last few years trying to save the Noble building.
That's time. Thank you.
Hi, Barbara Glover, Myrna Court, Livonia. I just want to say that it's obvious what the mayor's doing. The mayor's stalling. She's been doing it for 5 years. She's not putting any money, no matter how much money you send her, she won't do it. She's just stalling because she wants to demolish the building for whatever reason, I don't know. It's a classic historic building. It was built by a famous architect. We have very little history in this city, because we knock it down. Why don't we want to preserve it? We could make it into some kind of community center, something Livonia doesn't have. We want to attract families to Livonia. Don't you think a community center would attract families? I don't think we should knock it down. I think it's a gem that we should try to polish up and save, not knock it down and build some ugly new modern thing. That's the same lack of foresight that she has with this whole project that she wants to do in this area. But getting back to the library, we need to get in there and get rid of the sludge and the rotted drywall. That should have been going on for, there should be maintenance done. If we said that the council had put money towards maintenance, it should have been done. So the mayor is in the wrong if she's not following what she's supposed to be doing with maintaining the building. I'm sorry I'm not as an eloquent speaker as some of these other people that have been coming up here, but I'm just saying, as a resident, I'm paying taxes for, the mayor to follow through with what she's supposed to do to maintain the buildings. Livonia has a terrible record of maintaining our buildings in this city. I grew up here. It's obvious. We need to get better about that. We can't just keep knocking down buildings and building new ones every 20 or 30 years because we didn't do any maintenance on them. What kind of record is that going to be? I thought we wanted to have a sustainable city. What, doesn't anyone care about the environment anymore? Thank you.
It's time. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, Deb Christensen, Livonia resident. Vice President Tashnik, I was at a town hall along with you and other members of the council put on by Councilperson Donovic, where I learned surprisingly, and I'll get to know, well, there's a connection here. I learned surprisingly that the city has already spent $500,000 on preparation for this millage. $500,000, in case anybody didn't know that. And all President McCullough is asking for is $30,000 right now. So do your job and vote yes. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, Linda Scott. I live on Cranston Street. And my sister and I moved here just a couple years ago. And I don't usually talk like this either, but I'm going to. This is the last place we ever want to live. And I want to love this city. But I'm so disappointed. I can't believe how disappointed. Do something. Do the right thing, and that's what I don't hear. Went to a meeting at the Noble site in the park a couple years ago. Got all these ideas, what to do. Here we are, 2 years later, doing not a darn thing and letting the rot sink in. So please, I just ask you, do the right thing. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, Betsy Calhoun, Livonia. I'm speaking just for myself as a resident. Just want to remind you all that the building was indeed designed by a world-class architect, Gunnar Burgertz. He was one of the last architects of international renown working out of Detroit. It would be a mistake to demo the building. Look up the Kingston, New York City Hall, different kind of antique building, but it was vacant for 20 years after being saved for demolition, and they moved back. City Hall moved back into it for 20 years. This is not a decision that needs to be done now. Mothball it properly, and it will be could be something that we're proud of. It's an insular provincial view to think that it's just an old building that needs to be taken down. It is unquestionably eligible for the National Register. There are state and federal tax credits that can be used. For a city, they would have to sell the credits, but there is still monetary gain to be seen there, and it should be thought of something as, give city Livonia some class, something to think about, not just, what is Livonia? Oh, yeah, we do have some really cool mid-century architecture. Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome.
Nicholas Picard here. When I'm hearing this and thinking about this, it's just, the city council represents its citizens. And if you were to ask this whole entire room right now if they would vote yes on putting $30,000 to get this started, I guarantee at least 80%. I'd probably say 100%, but I'm going to give 20%. Maybe there's someone out there who'd say no, but at least 80% would say yes. As someone who wants to become on city council and wants to represent this city, you have to have that ideal. You are representing the people. And if you put this up to vote in this whole entire city, everyone knows that people would say, let's get this 30,000 started. It seems to me it's a pretty simple yes vote. We spend thousands and thousands, millions of dollars on just random stuff. It's $30,000 to get something started that means a lot to a lot of people. So that's all I want to say. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Welcome.
Francis Janice, Livonia. I moved here a few years ago from Dearborn Heights, where the mayor was doing a similar disinvestment in keeping our buildings intact. I never thought for a New York second that I would be sitting there and looking at Livonia, the place where my sister lived, where my nieces and nephews lived, and where my mom lived, that we would be looking at the same situation. I'm begging you guys, sit there and allow us to sit there and at least get this 30,000 going, to be able to sit there and say, yes, you care about the residents, you care about a building, you care about what people are asking for, you care about the millage. Let's work together rather than knocking heads together. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Welcome.
Chris Muldoon, 28456 Tulip Wood. I am not speaking on behalf of my HOA now, just me. Some things are popping in my head, questions that I have, right? So can the administration or can the city fix some of the drainage issues, the roof issues without the money, right? It's not a question, obviously, there's gonna be an answer, right? But can they? If the question is no, then the 30,000 is easy, right? If the answer is yes, well, then maybe you don't need the 30,000, right? But to really through Vice President Tashnik to Councilmember McCullough and Councilmember Donovic, I think either one of your numbers, right, whether it's 1 million, whether it's 3 million, I think it's really irrelevant at this point because we don't know what we're going to do with the building. I think that's why it's really important what the work that Councilwoman Budzinski is doing, right, is figuring out what the vision for the building is. Because the dollars and cents don't matter at that point, right? We don't know what we're going to do with it, right? Okay, it's $1 million to rehab it. Well, does that include the vision for the building, right? Does that include the walls? Does that include the rooms, whatever the case may be, right? Like, I don't know if that includes that. It sure doesn't seem to me that it would. It would just say, okay, that's $1 million just to get it where we want to get it, right? So my question would be like, do we spend the 30,000 now, just get to the building to the point where there's no more damage being done to it, right? Get the meeting, the committee of the whole meeting or the committee meeting done with Council Member Budzinski and then figure out what we want to do with it. And then figure out the numbers from there. Right? It just seems like we're kind of putting the cart before the horse a little bit, like trying to talk about, $1 million here, 3 million, 5 million, right? We don't even know what we want to do with it, right? It could be really expensive to build a community center. It could be really cheap. What if we don't want it to be a community center, right? How are you supposed to know what that is going to cost without knowing what you're going to do with the building itself, right? So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Denise Micah, Lancashire Road. I'm almost embarrassed on how things are being operated in this city, quite frankly, because whereas the motion is for $30,000, we're going to take care of things. How we sat through, and thank you for having that town hall, but it seems like you're not listening to the people. We have something definitive there, but you expect us to vote on something else that, trust us. We can't trust you. I mean, we're voting for other people. It's going to be really interesting in August what happens, not only with the millage, but everybody else. Because this has shown everybody, whether on TV or not, who is really listening for the people for $30,000. When you have other things on here for $500,000 and to do this study, that study, and all the paraphernalia that you're putting out for Livonia built, how much money have you spent on those? And you can't spend $30,000. I bet you spent more than $30,000 on those signs and all those fancy things. So I appreciate if you'd vote and think again for the citizens for $30,000. I think we're worth it.
Hello, Linda Steckel on Ingram and off of Plymouth Road in Old Rosedale. I just feel, just going to say it flat out, I feel there's another agenda, a separate agenda that maybe you don't know about and that nobody really knows. I think there's something under rug here, and there's all this BS about $30,000 here, and we're going to gut this place. If they were going to do anything, they would have done it years ago. There's something going on. How much is that property worth? What's the real value? There's something else that there's an agenda for that property, and it should be just talked about honestly and openly, and that's not happening. So I'm just putting it out there that I'm tired of listening to all this BS for years on end, and you know what? When is somebody going to stand up and say, what's the real story here? What's the real story? Who's the developer? Who's involved in this? Something else is going on. That's it.
Thank you. All right. I think we're done with audience communication. We do have a motion on the floor. Council, you ready to vote? I almost said Madam Clerk, sorry, Mr. City Attorney.
We actually need a second and a vote on Councilmember Toy's motion.
I thought she
called the question, but she
Oh,
needs
that's
it.
right. You called the question. So we need to vote on that first. So
We need a second.
You'll
I'll support, yeah,
So it's
sorry.
supported by Mr. Donovan.
Should have called that earlier.
Sorry. Go ahead. You can take the
Sure.
vote. Sorry.
Councilmember Budzinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Shield,
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan,
No.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Point of clarification, we are voting.
on the call the question motion.
Yes, exactly, just so everyone knows. We're not actually voting on the vote, so I will vote yes.
President McCullough
Yes.
and Vice President Tashnik.
Aye. Mr. Morgan.
Would you like to change your vote?
Yes, I would. Yeah, to yes. My mistake, I thought we were voting on the other.
So the call to question passes 7-0, yeah. All right, now we will go ahead with the original motion.
Sure. Councilmember Budzinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Shield,
No.
Councilmember Morgan,
No.
Councilmember Toy,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
No.
Council President McCullough,
Yes.
and Vice President Tashnik.
No. Motion fails, 4-3, or 3-4.
Madam Vice President,
Mr. Donovan.
I would like to make a motion to place noble and appropriate expenditures in the capital, the committee of the whole, please.
Do we have support?
Point of clarification?
Oh, hold on, 1 second. Go ahead, support by Toy. Go ahead, Mr. McCall.
We already have it in committee of the whole.
I was confused, it hasn't been scheduled yet.
It was scheduled and it was canceled because the mayor couldn't be here, and then it was also, if I may have the
Yes, go
floor. Councilwoman Budzinski put it in for the August 16th. I'd be happy to add that to another meeting, but it is already in committee of whole. If we want to have multiple, I guess for the sake, it's already there. We want to vote for it.
So,
Hold
Madam
on,
Vice
guys, hold
President?
on.
Yeah.
Point of clarification, and I'm going to go to Mrs. Budzinski so
Yes.
she can explain the difference. Mrs. Budzinski.
Yes, I really want to be very clear about it's my understanding what's in our committee. My committee is about the strategic planning for the future use of Noble, the building. The committee of the whole has the subject matter of Sheldon Park and Noble together, the conditions of it. I will put forward a motion that we put the maintenance of Noble in the capital outlay and infrastructure committee to discuss that piece specifically.
Well, let's hold on one second. The committee of the whole
She needs a
was,
support.
yeah, she needs a support, but we already had something on the floor.
Get her support first.
All right. Do we have support to put this in capital outlay?
I'll support that.
Okay, supported by Shield.
Madam Vice President, I'd like to
Yeah.
remove my motion, please.
Okay. Is the
will
supporter
too.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we have a new motion on the floor to put this in capital outlay. Motion by Budzinski, support by Shield. Mr. Donovic.
Madam Vice President, I assure you to the residents, I will work expeditiously to get a meeting scheduled with administration to find out what dollars and cents we can put into to solve some of these issues. I think there were some really great comments from some of the residents. I thought it was spot on. There's a lot of talk about it's going to cost this much or that much for a full renovation, but I think it was spot on about what it will cost for some of these renovations that need to happen right now to solve some of the issues. I would have loved to have that discussion in the committee of the whole. So now I will have a capital outlay and infrastructure committee, and I'll work with the administration immediately to get that scheduled. We're not going to wait until after August. We will have a discussion about what we need to spend in that building to get water out of it and those sorts of things. And I will work on that immediately. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. 1 second. Councilmember Budzinski.
Yes, and I just want to be really, again, very clear about why I made that specific motion. We still have it in the committee of the whole, which allows the president to call a meeting if he chooses. I, however, feel like the issues of building maintenance and mothballing it are different than strategic planning for the building. I am on the chair of the Economic Development and Strategic Planning Committee, where that is going to be the topic. What are we doing with the building? I also want to make sure that we are addressing maintenance and mothballing, protecting and preserving that building and making the appropriate investments to make sure that that is happening, which is why I motioned to put it in that committee where it just gives us more options. The reality is this just gives us a lot of different ways, a lot of different individuals on council who will be invested in what's going on with Noble, different areas that we can discuss it, and different points of where we can tackle the problem. So I want to, again, be clear about why I put it in the Capital Outlay Committee. And again, it does not take away from the council president's ability to call meetings on the subject either. It just gives us additional opportunities to talk about something that I know so many of our Livonia residents care about.
Thank you. Ms. Toy, sorry.
Thank you so much. I just want to say a friendly reminder, and I know you guys know it, but if you would please get that done before like June, the end of June. Could we, if the administration can't be there, give them, obviously a couple dates. Maybe they can send, I don't know, a proxy or whatever you call those people. You know what I'm saying? So that we get some answers. That's all. Now we have an opportunity with both of you that are experienced, especially you, Mr. President, and Carrie with hers coming up in August. So we've got to get some answers on this. We've been doing it for too long. We all, I think, realize that. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Mr. McCullough, and then we still have a motion on the floor.
So I just want to say I will support this, obviously, but at the same time, now we have Noble in probably every committee. And we're going to talk about it again and again and again. I'm leaving it there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we do have a motion on the floor that we still need to vote on. So, I guess we need to go to the audience if anyone would like to talk about us putting this in capital outlay. Okay, seeing none. Mr. Carter, or Mr. Fisher, sorry.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Yes.
Councilmember Shield.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
President McCullough.
Aye.
And Vice President Tashnek.
Aye. So motion passes 7-0. It will go into committee. And as soon as that does go into committee, it will post publicly, and I know that Mr. Donovic will take care of that very quickly. Okay. At this time, I'm going to offer the president back the gavel if he would like it.
All right. I will say we're back at the reports from the mayor and other city officials. The second one I can probably safely say is not as fun as the one we just talked about. Is item B. It is a communication from the Department of Finance dated May 19th, 2025, forwarding departmental purchasing report. These are more receiving files. So thank you for that. And with that, I'm going to move right into the consent agenda. Items 1 through 17 on the consent agenda will be voted on as one item. These items were previously discussed at the study meeting that took place on May 19th, 2025, and determined to be non-controversial. Council.
So moved, Mr. President.
Support.
Vice President made the motion, support from Councilman Morgan. Any comments from the audience on the consent agenda? Seeing none, Mr. Attorney, will you please take the vote?
Absolutely. Vice President Tashnik.
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Shiel.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember
Aye.
Toy. Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
And President McCullough.
Aye. All right, we're going to move on to unfinished business with item number 18. Is a site plan petition comes to us from the Planning Commission in reference to petition 2025-03-08-03 submitted by Johnny's Express Car Wash requesting approval under the consent judgment case number 222CV-12734 to construct a car wash at 30207 Plymouth Road. Council.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'll offer an approving.
Support.
Any discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'll go to Councilman Donovic, then I'll go to Councilwoman Toy.
For the residents that aren't maybe familiar with this agenda item, long story short, the city was sued over at Plymouth and Middlebelt, and we had to go underneath a consent judgment, which means the judge told us we had to do something. So this is the ending of this. The council has to approve this particular project, and we don't have leeway, so we can't deny. We can deny it, but then it'll just go back to court, and there'll be some large implications in the net worth of somewhere like $10 million, and the city is not insured for that. If we lose that lawsuit, the $10 million comes out of general fund. The city doesn't have $10 million just laying around the general fund. So this is the ending of this and the final step in the completion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other council? Oh,
Yeah,
Councilwoman Toy, I'm sorry.
If I may, Mr. President, my colleague explained it pretty well, or very well. But I'd like the city attorney just to hone in on that, because some of these things, on social media, which I'm still getting used to, say and make fun of all of us for car washes in the city, and I agree, there's a lot of them, but they've been, approved. And chicken places, by the way, chicken I hear is really supposed to be good for us, so I guess as long as you don't eat your chicken in a car wash, you're okay. So if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Carter, or Attorney Carter, just to explain what a consent means.
Sure. Consent judgment is essentially a contract enforced by the court. It's a type of settlement that you come to where the parties agree in lieu of an outcome given by a judge to sort of cut the proceedings short, allow the judge to rule immediately, and both parties agree to abide by the ruling at that point. So in this instance, as Councilman Donovic accurately noted, should council vote no, we would end up in court very quickly, and we would have a fair amount of egg on our face given that a judge is enforcing this judgment against us. So.
Yeah. Yep. So that's why, we have a ZBA, because when you go to ZBA, your last resort is on zoning board, which we all have appointments to that, is circuit court. So once a judge puts down her hammer or his hammer, that's it, end of story. They're not like us where they can appeal and do all those fun things. So, don't get upset when you see this other car wash going in. No, it's a consent, as my good learned colleague stated, Mr. Dominic. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Carter, too.
Cool. Anything else from, Councilwoman Budzinski.
A question for the city attorney through the chair. The matter coming back before council for approval was part of the consent agreement?
It was part of the consent judgment, yes, that's accurate. I believe paragraph 1.5 of the consent judgment stipulated that it go both through planning and through council. In the future,
can you explain why that's the case? I mean, if we have to approve it, why does it have to come back before it? Is it an option not to? And the reason I ask this is because I don't want to vote for a car wash. I'm in, commisery with fellow residents who feel like we get a lot of these same old businesses that are not adding the kind of value that we want to see in our community. At the same time, I also understand that the previous council accepted a consent agreement and that we have an obligation now as council. And while I could hypothetically, I mean, I can vote no, it does jeopardize, it's really more of a show than it is a reality, because this does have to pass. And so in understanding where we're at right now for having to approve this in future cases, so that I know more as a council member, is there leeway? Like, did it have to come back? What is the benefit of coming back to council if we really have if our vote is just forced?
That's there's a sort of long and involved historical answer there, and given that I wasn't the city attorney when this consent judgment was negotiated, I can't speak to all the sort of internal workings and thinking behind some of the negotiation tactics. I would say that consent judgments typically only have to be approved one time by council. It's just like any other settlement. So this is not, this term is not sort of standard in consent judgments. Normally this would have already been handled by now. But to your point, going forward, we would probably try to avoid bringing an item like this back to council for a second bite at the apple. The approval of the consent judgment would probably be all we needed. I think my understanding is, in this instance, the folks writing the consent judgment looked at our typical procedure for approving developments of this type and tried to mirror that in the consent judgment. That's not required. But that was what they were attempting to do based on my understanding of sort of the historical negotiations that occurred here. And as I said, in the future, we would try to avoid negotiating along those same lines.
Thank you. And yeah, so I'll just say again, my 18 months on council thus far, I've not approved any new car washes. I know that that's been said that, multiple have been approved recently. They have not been approved in the last 18 months. I approved one that's come before us for a remodel for one, and I felt making investments in an already existing car wash was an appropriate choice. And I feel like this is inevitable, and I don't want to do a disservice to my colleagues who may also want to vote no, but given my early opportunity to vote, would not necessarily have a chance to, or that we would subject the city to a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. I'm going to vote to approve this as a matter of the consent agreement, not because I want another car wash on Plymouth Road in Livonia.
Thank you. Anybody else from council? Anything from the audience? So name and address, we got 2 minutes.
Chris Muldoon, 28456 Tulip Wood. I live in South Livonia at Plymouth and Meadow Belt. I understand you have to rubber stamp this. I get that, right? As a part of this consent judgment is also a large luxury apartment complex. So my question is, how could you sell luxury apartments when your neighbor is Walmart, a plasma center, White Castle, a car wash, and an LA Fitness?
We had a lawsuit on that.
Right? Who's going to pay $3,500 a month to live next to the most traveled Walmart in Wayne County that draws a ton of crime and has a huge Livonia police presence? I think obviously there's nothing you can do about it, right? I live at that corner. The show stacks have been a thorn in my side for a really, really long time. Residents down there were promised a whole hell of a lot, right, when Target and Walmart were put in there, and unfortunately, they never delivered. And so here we are again. You guys said no, and they said, well, we got the pockets, you guys don't, and so we're going to sue and win, and they did. And so now they get their apartment complex and their car wash anyways. It's really disappointing, right? And as somebody who lives down there and cares deeply about that neighborhood, a Franklin grad, proud of South Livonia, right? It is very disappointing that this stuff continues to get shoved down our throat. And at some point, people are going to be fed up and they're going to sell, and that's going to be that. And it probably, it won't have a whole lot to do with you guys because you don't have a choice, and I get that, right? But it's really disappointing for us. So appreciate you.
Thank you.
Denise Micah again. I just have a question. Was this about that you didn't want to approve the apartments down there, and so then he said, well, I'll just shove a car wash in with it to... Okay, it'll be interesting how they sell it. So just for future people that are running for city council, just watch what happens when you don't give some developer something and what they do. We could have a car wash at 5 in Farmington.
Exactly.
Good evening. 2 minutes. Mr. King?
Yeah. Okay. I'm just confused because, so you're saying you were sued and then you presented the city's case and lost in court? Is this what my understanding is? Or the judge said, you guys work it out? That's what my understanding was. The judge said, you guys get together and work it out, and then the city allowed them to put the car wash in. So you didn't have to let them put the car wash in. You didn't have to. So that was your decision to let that happen. I think you could have worked it out in court. I think you could have told the judge, hey, judge, there's another car wash 100 yards away from this one. And that might have had some standing with the judge. And this is what zoning is for. Zoning and ordinances, your most important tools that you never use. You zone it. We can't have 3 car washes within 500 yards. You did it with gas stations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Any other audience communication? Anything else from the council? I've almost slipped about 20 times. Mr. Attorney, can you please take the vote?
Sure. Vice President Tashnik.
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Shield.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
And Council President McCullough.
No. Motion carries 6-1. I will now move on to item number 19 is an award of contract, comes to us from the Office of the Mayor for pre-construction services in a not-to-exceed amount of $78,312 for the new police station facilities from budgeted funds. Council.
So moved.
Support.
Any other comments or concerns from council? Anything from the audience?
Christopher Martin, great state of Michigan. You know, here we are, we're approving money for something that hasn't been voted on yet. And it's disturbing, okay? There should be, as I would look at it, there should be 7 no's, because many of you wanted it, the citizens to vote for the primary in August there on this particular downtown Livonia issue. Got a little feedback there. And at the end of the day, you should wait on any funds that are going to be allocated until after the election takes place, because I'm a definite no on that. And I think there's others that will be voting no on that also. I'm not speaking for anyone except myself currently, but I will say that to put 78 grand and 78 and some change, it's ridiculous. So there should be 7 no's. I think the term is, I think we can show 7. Okay, so that's what you should be doing. You should wait until the election is taken place before any money is allocated for anything. So.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Yep.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jenny O'Connor. I live on West Chicago in Livonia, and I'm speaking about this $78,312 expenditure for pre-construction services. At this moment, residents have not voted on whether they even want this project to move forward. It is a part of a bond proposal that's scheduled to appear on the August 5th ballot. Until that vote happens, approving any spending on pre-construction services sends the wrong signal to the residents that the outcome is already decided and that public input is just a formality. That's not how representative government should work. Additionally, key steps in the process haven't been completed yet. The geotechnical surveys for this proposed site are still outstanding. Without knowing whether the site is even suitable for development, how can we justify moving forward with pre-construction services? This isn't about being against public safety or progress. It's about respecting process, honoring public trust, and exercising fiscal responsibility. We owe it to our residents to wait for their vote and complete due diligence before we commit to spending taxpayer dollars. And if we're going to drop $78,312, maybe that could be spent on maintaining Noble and making the important reparations that need to be made to that building in order to seal it up and protect it from rodents. I strongly urge this body to hold off on approving this expenditure. Let's get the data first, and more importantly, let's get the consent of the people we serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, Lynn Mills, Plymouth Road. And for once, I almost have nothing to say because I agree with everything Ms. O'Connor just said. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Barbara Glover, Berta Court. I also agree with what she very succinctly said. You're supposed to be waiting until the election has passed. We don't know that this millage is going to pass or not, so why are you already spending our money on something that might not pass? What are you going to do if the millage fails and you've spent this money on something? That seems very irresponsible, and it's not very democratic. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Denise Micah again. I concur with what everybody else said about no pre-construction services and the new police station facility. The police station might be in a different location later when they find out that it cannot be built over there, so why spend the money on that? And from what I understand, the police station foundation can handle a second story where it is now, so it could be renovated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deb Christensen, are we all getting tired yet? No? Okay. Okay, I'm not going to make any friends right now, and that's fine, because that's not what I'm here for. Who's in the mayor's pocket? We're going to find out right now with this vote, aren't we?
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll go back to Council. Councilman Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is there a PMR representative here this evening? For the residents that don't know, thanks for being here this evening, sir. PMR is the owner's representative for the city. They are the real estate consultant. So we're talking about spending $78,000, and I could understand the sentiment about getting too far down the road and spending money. That's a good point, and we talked about this in the study, and I've had some subsequent conversations. We've spent roughly nearly $600,000 thus far on 9 separate contracts. Every one of those 9 contracts has been approved by the city council. So now we're talking about approving the 10th contract. And something that I've heard a lot from the residents is they want more plans. They want to see the floor plan. They want to see those things because it's data and it's information. Does hiring the construction manager help you do that? And if there's any other information you want to add since that study this evening would be appropriate time.
Yeah.
Really fast, if you could, just introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Rick Erickson, Plan Moran Real Point, and I'm going to take a few steps back, if you don't mind, help maybe provide some clarity. We were engaged by the City of Livonia last summer to provide owners representative services for the City Center program. And from day one working with city administration, the focus has been on let's develop some implementation strategies that can potentially save the city time and money. One of the strategies was hiring the architect for the new police station before the bond proposal. That strategy allows us to potentially bid the project 10 to 12 months sooner, avoiding 10 to 12 months of 5% escalation, which equates to about $2.5 million. It also allows us to bid the project in the fall, which is optimal for bid participation and the most competitive pricing. That strategy was shared with City Council and supported by City Council. The contract for architectural engineering services for the new police station was approved by City Council. That contract's now with Hobbs & Black. And we are at the end of schematic design phase, so that's essentially where they have the floor plan worked out in some of the elevations. And now we're at the point where we would like to get a construction manager on board to provide the cost estimating services so we know what they're proposing from a design standpoint is within the project budget, or if we have to stop and calibrate. Incidentally, we are planning on expending about $30,000 of the pre-construction services prior to the August 5th date.
Okay. Mr. President, if I may, we're not spending the entire $78,000 immediately. We're spending portions of it, and you estimate roughly $30,000 by the August timeframe.
That's correct. There's 78,000 total contract value. That's for 4 cost estimates.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Vice President?
Thank you. And I just wanted to say to the residents, I do recognize that approving the pre-construction costs prior to passage of the millage does seem to be premature. Oops, actually, absolutely understand that. But it may be essential for us to proceed in order to save $2.5 to $3 million. And to me, regardless of what happens in August, we are going to need to move ahead with the Livonia Police Department one way or another. So if we're going to need to move forward, this would be something we would still need to have done.
Absolutely. I would like to think at some point in the not too distant future, there's going to be a new police station in the city of Livonia. I think there's enough evidence out there to support that one is needed. We've spent many hours with the chief, the deputy chief, the captains, developing their space program to define their wants and needs for a current and future police station. So that information is still valid. This cost information would just help support that moving forward in whatever path it takes.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Thank you, Mr. President.
Let me go to Councilman Toy and then Councilman Morgan.
Thank you. If I may, I'm forgetting your name, I'm sorry.
Rick.
Rick, thank you, Rick. Are you doing the city hall too, the plans for the city hall?
We are doing, yes, the city hall libraries, the whole master plan is part of the
Okay,
owner's
that's what I
recommendation.
thought.
Correct.
Have we done any of this for city hall yet, or no? Pretty much?
We have an
Yeah.
architect and a construction manager on board for City Hall Library.
Okay, already. I knew the
For City Hall,
library was.
yes.
I wasn't sure about the, this city hall. I wasn't sure.
Yes.
Yes, okay. The answer is yes. So hopefully it'll be a lot more attractive than perhaps this, like the Renaissance building, no?
We have good architects on board.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, I have a little bit of problem with the 78,000 as well, sir. I understand what you said, but in all due respect, that's why I think the election's coming, whether it's in August. Maybe it'll be in November, who knows? I mean, if, God forbid, whatever happens, we left it up to the people of this city. I certainly want to leave it up to the people in this city to have that opportunity for those buildings. And no offense, sir, I understand what my colleagues are saying, I appreciate that, but I almost feel like it's a little bit of cart before the horse kind of syndrome. And I just can't bring myself to vote for this at this moment, sir. But thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thank you, Councilman Toy. Councilman Morgan.
Yeah, I have a question for you regarding this. As far as the ground survey and the geo area there, is that building going to have to be built on geo pillars?
Geotechnical engineering services are currently underway by TEC. So they're doing borings. I would say within the next couple of weeks, we should have a report. Soil borings for the court were referenced prior to locating where the police station was going to go from a master planning level. There were no red flags in that geotech report, so we're hoping the same will come back in the new one.
Okay, and this just keeps things moving in the right path as far as where we're heading to, correct?
Absolutely. This allows us to take advantage of cost savings from both a bidding timing standpoint and escalation avoidance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Budzinski.
So I'm going to vote no on this, and it's not because I don't support the project. I passionately support this millage, and I think it's necessary for our city to move forward, and I feel very comfortable with what we've already voted for and how we've proceeded with it. However, the time is now. The election is coming soon, and we still have a lot of work to do in explaining what's happening, presenting information to residents. We've heard time and again that this is a very high-intense, emotion-driven question that's being put before our residents. And I want residents to know that I hear them and that I respect their concerns. I appreciate the work that PMR is doing. I am supportive of the work that you guys are doing. I desperately, I really want this millage to pass. I think we need it for Livonia, and I hope everyone will take time to look at the livoniabuilt.org website, see what the plans are, attend the open houses that are going to be held, and get that more information. I'd like for folks to pause and take time to look into this. And for my part, as a council member, I will also pause and say, let's really work at getting this information out there, getting on the same page, understanding what's happening and why it's so important for our community.
Thank you. Anybody else from council? I'm going to pass the gavel because I just have a question, if I may. Madam Vice President, may I have the floor?
Oh, sorry, yes, you may.
Through the chair to Rick. Listen,
Forget it. I know.
Rick, Rick is. I've got to work with Rick the last since the last couple of years, and Rick does a heck of a job, and so I value him on everything he does, and I don't want to put him in a pickle, and I won't because I know he's representing his company, but I will state that plans are one thing. We keep hearing about the meetings, and I keep saying this over and over. City Hall. So the first meeting we had was a needs assessment. We did a facilities needs assessment. It told us the building has a lot of problems. We did the City Hall A&E, the architect and engineer. Perfect. We know we had funding. We did the construction manager because we have funding. The bonds were the notice of intent bonds. With the police station, I have no issue with the design. I think the design is fine, honestly, because here's the thing. If you're being fiscally responsible, those plans can be updated. So say the millage does fail. 2 years down the line, it's not going to take a ton. Maybe there's an update to building codes or energy codes, but we're going to have a lot of the information to then, if we need to pivot, we can. However, construction management services, we spend $30,000 and this millage fails. What benefit do I have with that $30,000?
You'll have cost support data for the drawings at one point for your new police station.
At
whether
one
that's
point in time.
Sooner or rather than later. But again, I would like to think that your strategy would be to expedite design and avoid unnecessary escalation. By having a plan that's been confirmed by a budget allows you to do that.
My issue is, and not to go back on different topics, but the $30,000. We're talking about it again, no problem. $30,000, let's suspend it. Because here's the thing, that's going to give us a construction estimate that's going to be for this period of time. Listen, you might have got your computer science degree 20 years ago. If you were to wake up right now, are you going to be prepared to do all the AI stuff, or are you going to be on Windows 95? That's the kind of stuff I'm saying. It's going to be useless information. You might get something out of it. It might just break down some of the subs and some of the trades, but it's not going to do anything. So as much as we fought over $30,000 previously, no problem here. That's my issue. And like I said, Rick, I know you do a great job, as much as I would, but you got to have the budget there. And what it does, to me anyways, at least from a strategy of being a salesperson, if I'm trying to promote this millage, I don't want to put egg on my face at every junction. And that's what's happening with banners, with signs. They're throwing it out. And right now, just wait until the voters vote. What are we talking? We're August. I mean, and realistically, you're going to go through a winter. Nothing's going to break ground on a PD for at least another year and a half. So what's the rush? That's what I'm trying to say. So that's all I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Donovic.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Sir, you think that's accurate that it's going to take, I know we just heard it's going to take a year and a half for us to break ground, but then you said that the goal here is to, hypothetically speaking, if the public approves the municipal facilities bond in August, you would start going out for bidding in fall, so October, November timeframe, and we would get fixed pricing for construction-related services in that moment, as opposed to waiting until spring, maybe, or late winter.
That's correct. Yeah, we are currently scheduled to complete construction documents and enter the bid period this fall.
What you're saying, I know you referenced a $2 million roughly number. You think, in your estimation, as our owner's representative, that we could save something like $2 million in the grand scheme of things by bidding this out in more of a prime bid season as opposed to bidding it later next year?
Well, the $2 million also ties back to bringing the AE on board and getting ahead of the curve even more.
Okay.
But there are some additional cost advantages to bidding in the fall.
There's cost advantages. And how does this work with reviewing construction, for example, right? Are you, because you mentioned earlier that we've already hired the architect. We've approved 9 contracts to date. We've approved architects, civil engineers, master planners, the list goes on. We've already approved the construction manager for City Hall. Now we're talking about approving the construction manager for the police department. They will help you review these documents. They will help you look at the construction, the plans, making sure that we're in the right direction.
Yeah, so there's a number of things they'll provide in their pre-construction services. Cost estimating is just one, but constructability reviews, so they're more in tune with lead times on specific building systems than anybody. So if the architect thinks they want to, do rooftop units versus a central plant, or, the CM will tell you, well, that's going to be a lot more lead time. There's potential more tariffs on those items. Sequencing of construction, they'll assist with early in the design process to help guide that.
So they do provide a lot of valuable information between now and August.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to be in support of it. I understand that we're spending up to this amount of money, but we're not spending the entire expenditure. And it sounds like we will be able to save money on the police department.
That's the goal, yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. Anyone else on council? All right, we'll go to the audience. Oh, we already did. You did before you passed it to me. I forgot. All right, we do have a motion on the floor.
Sure.
Mr. Fisher?
Councilmember Budzinski,
No.
Councilmember Shield,
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Toy,
No.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Council President McCullough,
No.
and Vice President Tashnik.
Aye. Motion passes 4-3. Mr. President, would you like to gavel that?
Thank you. All right, so where are we at?
20.
And I promise him we will take, if you're here for the study, we're going to be taking a break pretty soon. Obviously, if this keeps on rocking out, I might just take a break at some point. If it's,
Let's just get through these.
yeah, let's just knock it out. If you yell at me after, but we'll do it. We're on item 20. Now, I will tell you, not that I'm going to try to race a lot of these, but this is something we did discuss, and they're more formalities. And I've got to read them, so enjoy, because I mumble a lot, so you guys can laugh for a little bit. So item 20 is a proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended, comes to us from the Department of Law in reference to Section 40 of Title 13, Chapter 8, which is water service rates and revenues, to provide for changes in the water service consumption rates to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2025. Council?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'll offer first reading.
Perfect. We have a first read. Any other questions, concerns from council? Anything from the audience? All right, moving on. 21. Proposed amendment to Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended comes to us from the Department of Law. In reference to Section 50 of Title 13, Chapter 8 is water service rates and revenues to provide changes in the water service consumption rates to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2025. Council?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'll offer first read.
Thank you. Anything
Mr.
else?
Chair.
Yes.
So if there's increases, which these are, because I have never served on this council where we've had a rate decrease, okay? And so this tax will go into effect July 1st of 25, is that correct?
On or before.
This year.
Yeah,
And that tax, if I may, is 5.7%, if I remember hearing the meeting correct.
I think you're correct.
Okay, so that is a tax that the authority, Great Lakes Authority, passes into a lot of these communities. I realize we're stuck. I fought this issue in the Senate. Even had Kwame follow me home one night, and not for a date either. It was because of some anger problems that he had over this very issue, because as you know, they were put in jail, him and his buddy, over this stuff. And then Mr. Snyder, or respectfully, Governor Snyder, turned it into an authority. And authorities, what they do, just so people are clear about this, they have no rhyme or reason. They can operate, you don't ever vote for an authority. They have no time certain when they're done. It's a political, nice little person. We're going to put you on here and you'll stay on forever. And that's what goes on in these authorities, because they don't answer to anyone. And they can set these rates, and not that they're not fair or unusual or any of the rest. I just want you to know how that board is in place. Unlike us, that got to face all of you every, for the 2 years. These authorities do not do that, and that's who's running your water system. And so we should all be very nervous about that kind of stuff. Kurt Heisey and myself tried to fight it. We couldn't get through. And I mean, we were, as Republicans with the Republican governor, it just didn't carry out. I'm not trying to be crying over spilt milk, but I think things would have been a lot different if we had somebody in place that could have double checked on this stuff and been elected. There's something to being elected rather than appointed. So I'll get off my soapbox, Mr. Chair, but I wanted to clear it up because we get thrown at on these kind of issues and it's not fair. It really isn't. So I'll shut up.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Councilwoman Budzinski, and then I'll go to the audience.
Yeah. No, I know, again, just it's been a long night, and so we're talking more quickly about this, but I do want to remind folks that at our May 19th meeting, our finance director, Deb, I can, sorry, not pronounce your last name. Thank you. I'm just going to tap you in. Help me out there. Did a very great presentation. I clipped it on my council Facebook page if you wanted to just watch that, or you could go to our YouTube page and watch her presentation as she talks about how Livonia sets our water rates. We are not making a profit out of this. She talks about how the fund is also used for maintenance needs as well. If you don't want to watch the presentation, the PowerPoint is also in our council packet. If you go to our May 19th study meeting and Civic Clerk, you can see that entire presentation there. I also linked to it directly on my council Facebook page as well, if it's just easier for you to grab that way. So I do want to let people know that we did talk about this extensively in our prior meeting. We had a very great presentation given with a PowerPoint that anyone can watch at any time if you do have questions about why this is moving forward in this way and kind of what limitations we have as a city to address it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from council? Mr. Martin, floor is yours.
Yes, Christopher Martin. Got a quick question here. Should we still attempt to avoid using water during the hours of 6 to 9 in the morning and 6 to 9 in the evening? Because it still was my understanding that that was the when we're charged the most. And it would make sense because that's when you're getting, some people are getting prepared for work or doing dinner in the evening or what. Is that still the way it is?
3 to 7.
Pardon?
3 to 7.
So it has changed.
Yeah.
Might have.
It used to be 6 to 9.
It's 3 to 7.
It's 3 to 7.
3 to 7. Okay, well, it has changed. One last thing, too. When when a water is shut off to a certain property, this is still feeding back.
I think they're doing it to you.
Oh, well, that could be. It's a gremlin. When water is shut off to a property, and then a bill miraculously is estimated for water that there's no consumption, and then that estimated bill, if you don't pay it, that high estimated bill, ironically, it goes to your taxes for another 25%.
Right.
How does that work? When you're not using water, when water is shut off, and you're being charged excessively for something that the city has shut off, to me that's fraud, okay? And there's, you have immunity. Employees from certain cities and, well, in the state of Michigan, you can't be sued, except for one thing, and that's fraud. That's the only thing you can be sued for, nothing else. Okay, so you have immunity, whether it be the school systems, recently, that happened, or the
That's time, Ms. Martin.
municipal. Okay.
I appreciate it.
I'd like the answer to that at some point, that
Mr. Chair.
excessive billing.
Just real quick, it's excessive billing, but if you don't use that water, you also get billed. I hate to tell people that, but it's true.
No,
right? I mean,
It's not
my
that-
colleagues know that, I think, don't you?
If you're chilling, well, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I've got hope
I think
on this agenda.
I think I think Laura Toy's
Yes, and your
confused.
time's up, Mr. Martin.
What's that?
I think you're confused, Laura.
It is.
From what I said.
No, we'll find
It's
out.
not that I'm not
maybe I-
using it.
We'll
as
find
a-
out. We'll find out for sure.
We'll find out, though, yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Any other audience communication?
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I
You're
thought
good.
I'd help, but I didn't.
Seeing none, we do have a first read from Councilman Donovic. No, listen, I'm running out of Red Bull, and we got a whole meeting to go, so let's do this.
Do I need to call for a sub?
I know. Item 22 is a proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended. Comes to us from the Department of Law in reference to Section 50 of Title 13, Chapter 28, Industrial Waste Surcharge, to provide for changes in the industrial waste surcharge rate to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2025.
I'll give it to first reading.
First read. Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? All right. Moving on. 23, proposed amendment to Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended. Comes to us again from the Department of Law in reference to Section 120 of Title 13. Chapter 20 is Livonia Sewage Disposal System to provide for the changes to the sewer disposal maintenance rates to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st. Council.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'll join the party. I'll offer a first read
We
on
got a
this one.
first read. I love it. Any other comments from council? Anything from the audience? All right. Moving on. 24. Yep, it's 24. It's a proposed amendment from the Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended. Comes to us again from the Department of Law. In reference to Section 130, Title 13, Chapter 20, which is Livonia's sewage disposal system, to provide for the changes to the special rates for designated uses to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2025.
Mr. President, I'd like to offer a first
Look at
read.
that. There we go. First
A little bit
read.
for everyone. Sorry, Scott.
Any other comments? Anything from the audience? All right. Thank you for those. Those were our waters. We're going to item 25 is a roll call vote. It's a proposed amendment to Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended. Comes to us from the Office of the City Clerk to revise sections to Title I, which is Chapter 1.08 election precincts, to maintain ballot alignment with within the previously consolidated precincts. First reading was given by the Council Vice President on May 19th. The floor is yours.
Mr. President, thank you. I will offer the second read. This was to correct some of that split ballot issue or split precinct issue that we had. So I'll offer the second read and also move for approval.
With that, just because we need a support on that, or no? On a second read?
You can move to a vote from a second
Okay,
read.
cool. Learn something new. Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Will you please take the vote?
Vice President Tashnik?
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski?
Aye.
Councilmember Shiel?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
And President McCullough.
Aye. Item 25 carries 7-0. We're going to move on to item 26 is another roll call vote. Proposed amendment to Livonia zoning ordinance as amended comes to us from the Department of Law in reference to petition 2023-09-01-05 submitted.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
No, I got about 20 more paragraphs. Thank you. I appreciate that. Submitted by Matic Construction LLC requesting to rezone the property at 37739 7 Mile Road, located on the south side of 7 Mile Road between Blue Skies and Glengarry Drive. This is going to be from N2 neighborhood to C1 local business. All right, this one's kind of a fun one. First reading was given by Council Member Scott Barr on December 4th, 2023.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Barr.
Since
Sorry.
Well, yeah, since Councilman Barr is not able to be here this evening because he was term limited, so I would like to give this second reading. This is a long time coming, and we're getting rid of a really bad building that I think is pretty well gone right now, and it's all done, and be happy about this one.
Mr. President, thank you. Yeah, to Councilman Toy's points, this has been a long time coming. There's multiple problem childs in our community for bad buildings, and thankfully, builder was able to buy. This property was condemned. The city was taking it. We were going to have to spend some $50,000 in mold remediation and this and that. The roof was caved in. The pool was caved in. We were going to have to spend taxpayer dollars and demo it, and then that would be placed on the tax rolls of that absentee owner. Fortunately, the neighbor and whatnot business owner was able to purchase the property, their own cost, no cost to the taxpayers. Great job to Jerome, Hannah, the building and inspection department for getting this property demoed immediately with the new private developer, and now they're going to build a small office building next door to an office building. So huge victory for the city, and I know there's a few other ones that the Jerome Hand and his department is aggressively working on. But as you can see, this has been since 2020. I think we started this, and here we are today. So thank you to all the parties involved, and I'm looking forward to this nice new building being built. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes. Anything else from council?
Did I have support?
Anything from the audience? Seeing none. And before I go to our city attorney, I know Councilman Barr will either be watching now or not, so he was part of that legacy. I know Councilwoman Kathleen McIntyre is also in the audience. She was part of that. So this is a good thing to see it come in fruition. So please take the roll or vote.
Vice President Tashnik?
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski?
Aye.
Councilmember Shiel?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
And President McCullough.
Aye. And motion carries 7-0. We're going to move on to item 27 as a site plan petition comes to us from the Planning Commission in reference to petition 2025-03-08-04 submitted by Leo Sauve Building requesting approval to construct a one-story office building at 377, what is that? Is that an 8 or a 3? 39 7 Mile Road. Yes. No, it is. Yep. No, I scribbled. I got ahead of myself. Located on the south side of 7 Mile between Blue Skies and Glengarry. Council.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Offer on approving.
We have support.
Support.
We have support.
Mr. President.
Yes.
This is just the site plan portion now. So
Yep.
the city council, we have a rezoning, and then the site plan, we have to approve those consecutively like that. So this will be a great job. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes. Any other comments from council? Anything from the audience? Yes.
Sorry, I did have a question. Is Leo Sauve doing this through Infinity Homes or individually? Oh, this is separate.
Leo Sauve Building Incorporated.
Okay.
All right. Mr. City Attorney, will you please take the vote?
Vice President Tashnik?
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski?
Aye.
Councilmember Shiel?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
And President McCullough.
Aye. And the motion carries 7-0. We're on to new business, item 28. Is Clint McDermott here? Listen, we all should give this guy a round of applause. Listen, I don't want to get out of Robert's rules here, but item 28 is a request to barricade City Street. Comes to us from Clint McDermott in reference in the front of home located at 10029 Bassett Street on Saturday, June 14th, 2025 from 2 to 10 in order to host a graduation party. Council, I need a motion to start.
So moved.
Support. Sorry.
Any discussion before I go to the petitioner? Listen, at this point, you've hung on. Tell us a little bit about it. Maybe we can hang out with you that day.
Yeah, I'd love to. It'd be a great just open invitation. First of all, thanks for everybody's time. It's actually my first time ever being in this hall.
Welcome.
If it's any credit, I mean, I've been in Livonia every day of my life, but at the same
It's
time,
your tax dollars
I've
at
never
work
been
right
in the
here.
police department either, so it could be good, right? So yeah, we're simplistically we're hosting a graduation party for my daughter, high school. A lot of the sub is invited, but not all, and many of the families on the block across the street are going to come. They have maybe approximately 10 children of elementary school age. So my intentions are just to provide street blockage signs directly in front of my house only to provide a kid-safe crosswalk for the duration of the event. It would not block any other residents' driveways. Basically just prevents the street from being a through street for that period of 8 hours.
Listen, I can't speak for my colleagues, but you hung out with us for here. So let me ask you, what high school?
Stevenson.
No, that's fine. Listen, we're all of one. We're just trying to figure it out. I mean, honestly, we have a Patriot, we have a Chargers.
Yeah, even though because we're in the
Spartan. There we go.
We are
Very
in the
cool.
triangle sub of Ann Arbor Road and I-275, so that is actually Churchill District.
That's what I can say.
Yep.
Chargers.
Right.
He's like,
yeah.
Well, with that, council, any other comments?
7?
Anything from the audience? Mr. Fisher, will you please take the vote?
Sure. Vice President Tashnik?
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski?
Aye.
Councilmember Shiel?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
And President McCullough.
Aye. No, I did. Quick. Hey, listen, maybe we'll be there. because after that, we might want to bring you a case or something. So I appreciate your time. Your matter's approved. Go have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 29 is a request to approve cable franchise agreement between the City of Livonia and Spectrum Mid-America LLC. Comes to us from the Department of Law for a period of 10 years from the date issued. Council?
So moved.
So moved, yeah.
Support.
Go ahead, those two guys.
Discard or pick, whatever ones you want.
Discard me.
You're good there. This is obviously more of a housekeeping issue. Council, do you have any questions, concerns?
No.
Anything from the audience? Mr. Fisher, you take the roll? Or
Vice
vote.
President.
Vote.
Vice President Tashnik.
Aye.
Councilmember Budzinski.
Aye.
Councilmember Shiel.
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
And President McCall.
Aye. And that concludes the regular agenda. I'm going to now go back to the audience for items that are not on the agenda. If you did speak earlier, you got to wait till the study. Good evening.
Hi, Deb Christensen again, Livonia. I gave you guys time to maybe announce Pride Month and Happy Pride. I have more of these. Would any of you like a flag for your yard? Okay.
Permission to approach.
All good, thank you.
You can put them, yeah, you can put them up there.
Thank you. All right, thanks, Deb. Do you have anything more? Are you good with your comments, Deb?
Oh, hey,
Thank
no,
you.
Deb, Martha wants one.
You can put one there.
Thanks, Deb. Appreciate it. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Not to prolong this meeting anymore, but two quick topics. First,
Yeah, just name and ad. Oh, yeah, I was jumping you, Mr. Testa.
Mike Testa, Sunnydale. First is a zoning board member. Thanks to the council, we got our iPads a few months ago. My 2012 iPad that was crashing really needed upgrades, so thank you very much. Now, as Mike Testa citizen, I wanted to come and give a shout out to the Traffic Commission, including Todd over here. Teresa Killingbeck and I have been advocating for several months at Traffic Commission meetings. Pretty good attendance there for quite a while, for improving the safety at the crossing in Levan to Hoover. It's been a good collaborative effort with LPS. A brighter light has been put on the boulevard, and there have been paint markings and new signage put in. And a special shout out to Sergeant Walters for all his help with that as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Testa. It's always good to see you. All right, I'm going to go back to council. Any closing remarks other than I safely show 7?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Good night, Livonia. We'll see you tomorrow morning it's 9:48. We'll say a soft 10.
Yeah, I gotta go call for a sub.